Well, the season. Well, the season.
Armchair.
You're listening to Braves Country Baseball. Please like and subscribe today. YouTube.com, Armchair Quarterbacks 1. Armchair Quarterbacks Radio. Living in an era of baseball where the impossible is unfolding right before our eyes.
Salvador Perez, the 2-2. Popped up, Sandoval, in foul territory. Giants win! A World Series win for the San Francisco Giants for the third time in the last 5 years. And their hero, Madison Bumgarner. The 1-2 again. Inside 2015 World Champion. This is going to be a tough play. The Cubs win the series. Brian makes the play. It's over. And the Cubs have finally won it. The game right now is at the plate.
Armchair.
It's important to remember the value of taking time for ourselves to do the things that help us grow and explore, like learning something new. And now with the Great Courses Plus, it's never been easier to experience the joys of learning. The Great Courses Plus offers thousands of streaming videos that cover hundreds of fascinating topics, from World War II to choosing the perfect wine. You can even take a course on the U.S. government or dealing with stress and anxiety. And because the Great Courses Plus partners with world-class professors and experts, you're always receiving thoroughly vetted, high-quality content from every lecture. Plus, you can watch or listen anytime, anywhere with the Great Courses Plus app. So take a little time for you. Sign up for the Great Courses Plus today for a free month of unlimited access. Visit thegreatcoursesplus.com/radio to get started. That's thegreatcoursesplus.com/radio.
Go potty. Come on. Come on. Oh, going to be 3 people.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
I'm Amy Lawrence, and I'm up late, always, after hours, hanging out with you on CBS Sports Radio. Check it out, 2 a.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Pacific.
Enjoy sun-drenched days, epic stays, and plenty of room to roam in Greater Fort Lauderdale. Our hotels, attractions, and restaurants have taken the Visit Lauderdale Safe and Clean pledge, so you can relax and explore with confidence. That well-deserved staycation are 23 miles of golden beaches await. Find wide open spaces to hike, bike, kayak, and paddleboard. Visit our favorite attractions, dine out in style on waterfront patios. Learn more at sunny.org.
To protect his family from disaster, Steve used his camera phone. Done. By taking pictures of his important documents, Steve can always have them stored online. Learn more simple disaster prep tips at ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Remember, if for any reason you must leave your radio, please have the man at the door stamp your ear so you can listen again later.
The Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live, covering the AFC South and NFC South along with the rest of the NFL. Subscribe and like us today. Your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast.
I'm not audible. How audible? I'll use Omaha! Omaha! Red Polly! Red Polly! Blue Poncho! Blue Poncho! Dilly Dilly! Rambo! Rambo! Give me Kershaw here! Kershaw!
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks.
Stop! Japan! Richmond, New York! Richmond, Florida! Sally, Buffalo! Check! Hey! Short Ox! Luda Raiders! Red Lions! Omaha! Come out!
This portion of the show is being brought to you by The Best Things in Life, which are still free with minimum purchase at participating dealers.
Dread running to the post office? Stamps.com brings post office and UPS services right to your computer. Send letters, ship packages, and get up to 40% off USPS and up to 62% off UPS rates. Nearly 1 million small businesses use Stamps.com to save time and money. It's a no-brainer. So skip the post office and visit Stamps.com.
Hi, this is Britney Spears.
What up, this Jay-Z.
This is Jennifer Lopez. Armchair.
Hey, Braves fans, the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel are bringing you Braves baseball all season long. Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and I'll be bringing you Braves baseball play-by-play for the Braves fans out there, or all of Braves country. So pull up an armchair and join us for Braves Country Baseball, first pitch to last pitch, Tuesday and Friday nights, right here on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. Armchair Quarterback Radio, the gunslingers of sports talk.
Here's second-year quarterback Brett Favre out of Southern Mississippi by way of the Atlanta Falcons. They are hopeful he can succeed in the NFL. Here, Brett Favre doing a challenge. Try this one. Best receiver out of the game from the 35, 1970s. He's there on Spark Up Life in Green Bay. Touchdown. Danny Marino.
Here's Marino. Wide open field. Goal. The season breaks the all-time NFL record. Going deep and open. You are going to bring pressure again. Rodgers is going to roll away, throws it up in the air, says a prayer. Janice says, stop it, ball, please.
TGIF on the Armchair Quarterbacks. Justin Waller and Mac McGee are back at it 6 p.m. Eastern to 7 p.m. Eastern every Friday evening right here on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel and your local CBS Sports affiliates. We're talking the NFL, Major League Baseball, Southern football, so grab you a cold one. It's finally Friday on the Armchair Quarterbacks, 6 p.m. Eastern to 7 p.m. Eastern. Waller and McGee getting you ready for your sports weekend.
You're listening to CBS Sports Radio. We are all sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Strong opinions and your phone calls. Expected here, CBS Sports Radio.
I think my jersey was one of the top-selling jerseys around the world. It was like Kobe, LeBron, and then I was right behind them, and I didn't make a dollar from it. But nor did I want to, because I knew going into college what it was all about. I knew going to my dream school where I wanted to go, the passion for it. And if I could support my team, support my college, support my university, that's what it's all about. But now we're changing it from us, from my university, from being an alumni where I care, which makes college football and college sports special, to then, okay, it's not about us, it's not about we, it's just about me. And yes, I know we live in a selfish culture where it's all about us, but we're just adding and piling it onto that, where it changes what's special about college football. We turn it into the NFL, where who has the most money, that's where you go. That's why people are more passionate about college sports than they are about NFL. That's why the stadiums are bigger in college than they are in the NFL, because it's about your team, it's about your university, it's about where my family wanted to go. And you're taking that away so that young kids can earn a dollar. And that's just not where I feel like college football needs to go.
Armchair.
Hey, Braves fans, the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel are bringing you Braves baseball all season long. Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and I'll be bringing you Braves baseball play-by-play for the Braves fans out there, for all of Braves country. So pull up an armchair and join us for Braves Country Baseball, first pitch to last pitch, Tuesday and Friday nights, right here on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel.
Armchair.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and flat out deceived.
Armchair. YouTube Live.
CBS Sports Radio station.
The radio station you can call your own. Do you know what listeners like about our station? It's everything.
I like everything. It's always on my radio.
We never stop the music, except for now, when I talk.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Show. We're here weekdays on CBS Radio, YouTube Live, the Armchair Quarterback Show. Your first choice for Southern.
Running hot, running cold, and 30 friends are on alert. That's all the dental hold. 'Cause he's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. He's the all-American man. The armchair quarterback. He's kind of fun.
Hey, howdy, hi, and how the hell are you? Welcome to the.
Doing good. Good to be back.
Doug is back with grainy video. What else would we expect?
Let me move it over this way. Is that any better?
What are you on, a 1926 flip phone? What's going on there, man?
Just my memorabilia in the background this time.
What you might want to do, Doug, is either A, close those curtains, or B, just sit on the other side. In other words, have the natural light hitting you in the face, because it's kind of
like this.
So no. Sit. In other words, have the light facing you, not behind you. If you can do that.
Gotcha.
Because,
Yeah. Give me a second.
yeah, sure. So welcome to the Armchair Quarterbacks Saturday morning show. It's a little bumpy this morning. Mostly my fault because I had the game last night and trying to put this show together. We'll be doing this every Saturday morning, 9 a.m. to noon. More on that as we go on today. We're going to be talking fantasy football. We're going to be talking real football, college football, NFL, and we'll also get into some Major League Baseball as the season is essentially, I know we're past the halfway point, but everybody looks at it as we're about to start the second half of the season, because once you get to the All-Star game, that feels like the first half of the season. Much better. You still don't want the sunlight behind you is the key. So if you can close the curtains behind you, that's probably better, but it's a little better. At least you're not directly behind the sunlight, Doug.
Yeah.
Anyways, as we realize that Doug's shirt's a little too small for him. How are you, sir? I haven't talked to you in quite a while.
I know, it's been a bit.
What you been up to?
Let's see. Working really hard. And I
now that we
actually
got the
passed a
lies
little
out
bit
of the way, what have you really been up to?
Sitting wishing my fantasy team could beat yours this week, which is
Which one?
Which is a complete.
Which one?
Huh?
I said, which one?
Both of them. I hit what's called the McGee wall, because the minute I play you, my team stops playing. It just says, never mind, it's the All-Star break. Let's just go ahead and give it to him.
I almost got a perfect game on you last night, man. I almost put the freaking hand.
I know.
I couldn't believe that. It's been a pretty good matchup. I think I'm going to pull it out though, because I've got several starts left, and I think you've got 3.
Yeah, you've got more games and more starts than I do.
Yeah, and
I'll do what I can, but
you got 3 pickups left, so you can decide to, if you want to trash your entire roster or try to catch me and lose by 50, or stay put. I know what I would do, but that just leaves, I'll leave that to myself.
Yeah.
So Major League Baseball, let's start off with that, because that's what's really going on right now. Now we're going to get into a lot of football talk. All the guys are on the way. It's a 3-hour show. So if we're not talking about your favorite sport, trust me, we will. And of course, the beauty, if you're watching it on YouTube, you're watching it on recording, you can always fast forward it if you're not a baseball fan, if you're not a fantasy fan. Typically what we're going to do is pretty heavy fantasy football in the last hour. Prior to that, leading into the season, we're going to do a lot of baseball and college football talk, and then kind of adjust from there. But once we get the season going, it's going to be a lot of fantasy and college and NFL football pretty much the whole show. We will do baseball though. All right. Major League Baseball, we're hitting the All-Star break. Give me your thoughts on the American League first, and then we'll do the National League. What say you?
American League. That American League East, how many talented teams do you have in just one division? That's been some of the best baseball I've watched all season. And one of the nicest surprises I've seen is actually, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but actually enjoying watching the Toronto Blue Jays play baseball. That's one of my biggest outtakes so far in this half of the season, just how well they played and how they're definitely going to be a contender this year. They're not a joke. And that's been, like I said, that's just been one of the best things I've seen all season so far.
How about the fact that Blue Jays are having a really unfair advantage against a lot of teams? And I don't want to get into the politics of it. I don't give a damn if you're vaccinated or not at this point. You either value the vaccine or you don't. I don't really care, because it's just, it's such a worn out argument. But from a baseball standpoint, if you go in to play Toronto on the road in Canada and you have players that are not vaccinated, Kansas City, 10 guys not vaccinated.
Yep.
Okay. So they're without essentially half their roster going into a 4-game series. Now there's 2 left. My biggest take on that from a fantasy standpoint, DFS, man, hit your Blue Jays, get your Blue Jays going, because they're going to have now somehow Kansas City won their first game. They got blown out last night. And that's what I expect more of as the weekend goes on, because you're going to be leaning on relievers that are going to be tired. You don't have your best starters. Brady Singer is one of the guys that's not vaccinated. And I would be leaning heavily on Blue Jays. And with that being said, if you're in a draft format, I would still grab Witt. Witt obviously is vaccinated because he's played the last few nights. Because in a blowout game, eventually he's just going to get taters, right? So, but going down the stretch, the last 60 plus games that we'll have after the All-Star break, I think it'll be around 65 for most teams. When Toronto is at home, they have a real advantage. And the trading deadline, which is what we're about to talk about, when you go to make a trade for a guy, and you're in the American League especially, anybody who's missing action when they go to Toronto, I don't want to make a trade for them. Because there is a very real possibility that my first round playoff game is going to be in Toronto. And Toronto, if the first round of the playoffs, all 3 games are at one spot. So let's say you're the Red Sox and you have to go in and play the Blue Jays. You could be missing. I know Tanner Hoke was on the list, for instance. You could be missing guys like that going into that series. What say you?
I mean, I have to agree with you on it. And to me, people might complain about Toronto's advantage with the COVID thing, but to me, as a sports fan and coming from a football team that talks about win any way you can, if that's a natural weapon that your city has, I have no problem with it. It's up to the rest. It's like you said, coming up with this deadline, you're going to have, it's the onus on the other teams. They're going to have to adapt to the fact that when you go to Toronto, you're going to have to deal with this factor. So to me, tough for the other teams in the East and tough for the teams they may have to play in the playoffs. Bottom line, I mean, it's a weapon, and the other teams are going to have to adapt to it, just like you said. So yes, you're going to, when the trade deadline, you're going to have to trade for players who are inoculated. Bottom line.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting because now here's the thing. I know a lot of fans are a little worried about. Well, what if I'm making a trade for a player whose team hasn't gone to Toronto? How do I know? They'll have to have full disclosure at the trade deadline when they ask for medicals. Okay. So the teams will know. They just don't release it to the public. So when you go, why didn't my team go get so-and-so? It may have something to do with that. We won't know. Right. Unless that player comes out. Mm-hmm. Now the National League, you have a little more leniency. Now you don't want a team that's fully loaded with guys who aren't vaccinated, because what if Toronto makes the World Series and you make the World Series? Then what the hell do you do? And for instance, look, the Braves are as much of the conversation as anybody, but I have no idea who we have and don't have vaccinated, because we don't play in Toronto this year. And I will be pulling against Toronto because I don't want to find out when we get to the MLB All-Star. I got All-Star game on my brain. The World Series. I don't want to find out that half my infield and all my outfield isn't vaccinated. And I have no way of knowing or guessing if any of these guys are vaccinated, right? Some of them might take it very seriously, and some of them might be adamantly against it. So I, for one, am pulling against Toronto for that reason. And Toronto fans may not like it, but it's a different set of rules that I don't want to find out about.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at with that. So I'm pulling against them to not make the playoffs. I hope Baltimore or Seattle overtakes them in the playoffs, because until they get rid of that rule, man, I'm sorry, but I have a rooting interest. I'm Braves country all the way. There's no way in hell I want the Braves to go play Toronto and then find out, because all of their guys are vaccinated. So they're going to have at least an advantage by at least one guy. Because we've got a 26-man roster, we're going to have at least one dude that goes, nope, not going to do it. Don't believe in the science, right? There's at least one guy.
Right.
There's a man in every crowd, and I don't want to find out how many Atlanta has, right? Same token. My second team that I tend to pull for, though, it's disingenuous because I don't watch a lot of their games because they come on at the same time as the Braves, and I do not turn the Braves channel. But I do pull for the Rays, and I just in the American League, I don't want to see it. I also don't want to see the Blue Jays crowned World Series champion because they're playing a team. We'll just grant a random team. Let's just say it's the Milwaukee Brewers versus the Blue Jays, and they beat the Brewers in 5 games because the first 2 they split in Milwaukee, and then they don't have their entire roster essentially available going to Toronto, and Toronto bangs out 3 wins and they get the World Series trophy. That will always have an asterisk to me, just like the 2020 World Series with the LA Dodgers. An LA Dodger fan, I hate to tell you, you have not won the World Series since '88. Whatever the crap that was in 2020, it was a tournament. You won a nice tournament, but it wasn't the World Series, because the World Series to me means you go and have to win on home turf, and you have to fight the crowds. It's not the Dodgers' fault, but until they bring that second championship from '88 around, I have a hard time counting that. If Toronto wins the World Series this year, I would have a huge problem counting that, especially if they were playing a team or any team during the playoff run, right? Doesn't necessarily have to be the team they play in the World Series. But what about if they get to the ALCS and the team they're playing in the ALCS? What if the Yankees are missing like Judge and Stanton, et cetera, right? And they knock out the Yankees. Not that I'm a Yankees fan, but I would be like, this is BS. But anyways, we'll move on from that. It'll be interesting watching the trade deadline as far as what moves are made. And America, especially American League East teams going down the stretch, because you're going to look at your schedule and go, we got to go Toronto X amount of times. It's going to be a huge, huge deal. All right, Major League Baseball. What about the National League? It's heating up. The Braves are now just 2 games behind the New York Mets as they won last night. The Braves did. The Mets were idle because of the rain out. They'll play 2 today, so they'll make up that game. So we will have a half game difference, or should, at the end of the weekend. So someone's going to be in first place by their lonesome between the two. I feel like it'll probably be the Mets. I doubt that the Mets drop 2 games of the next 3 against the Cubs, which is what they would have to do to lose first place. No, actually, I guess they'd have to lose all 3, wouldn't they? Because they were 2.5 in front. So let's say,
they have to lose all 3.
So let's say if they win the first game this afternoon, they'll go back to 2.5 up. They lose the next 2. Braves win all 2. They'd only be a half up. So the Mets will be in first place as we hit the All-Star break. I think it'll be down to 1.5 games, somewhere in that area. The Braves just absolutely dominate Washington, even though Will Smith tried like hell to lose. And he tried. If y'all missed that, he tried. Snicker wouldn't let him do it, but he tried. He pulled him out and brought Minter in. The Braves are going to get Kirby Yates back at some point, but I still think they're going to try to add a back end piece to the bullpen, because even Kenley Jansen's been shaky. The save he got a couple of nights ago, he gave up a home run. Yeah. When he gets saves, it's rarely a clean inning. It's normally you're sitting there just wringing your hands, white knuckling the whole thing. What say you on the National League?
National League, like you were just talking about the Braves, and it drives me crazy when you look at people's opinions. I think overall, right, even though right now it doesn't show if the Mets are ahead of you, I still say that you're the odds-on contenders to repeat. I love what your organization does. They don't do anything wrong. Everything is it's close to perfection as I've seen a baseball team run.
Can I get you to run?
I don't say that very often.
Can I get you to run for MLB commissioner?
Yeah, exactly.
I got to record.
I know.
I got to
Even
record
before I
that
came
little
on, I
bit.
knew you were going to say
We
that.
do nothing wrong. Doug says so.
I didn't say so. I don't care what anybody says. I just love the way your organization is run. People criticize your winning streak just because you haven't played some great teams in that 11 game streak. But I still say that as an organization, you were built to win the World Series.
14. First of all, it was 14.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Second of all,
I took a day off. I
don't
missed
care who
those
you
three.
play in Major League Baseball. 14 games is 14 games because
In-game. That's what I was trying to say.
the chance of you not running into a buzzsaw of a pitcher and knocking you out of that is really rare. Hell, it's rare to win 9 of 10, right? It's pretty rare to win 8 of 10. So I'm not buying that either. And actually, the books in Vegas have the Braves has a slight edge to win the division. Now, I think there's 2 factors for that. A, the Braves have a little bit easier schedule in the second half of the season. And B, they're the defending champs. We're trying to go back to back to back to back to back to back to back. And until you beat the man, you can't be the man. And they've done a nice job so far. They've taken 4 of 7 from us in the season series, but there's still 12 to go. And 7 of those are in Atlanta, 5 are in New York. So I think we can pretty much mail in the NL West to the Dodgers, can't we?
Yeah, that's pretty much that's a layup.
I don't think
said.
Right. I don't think there's any way that the Dodgers blow that division, even with all the things that are going on. I don't think there's much of a chance that the Dodgers don't go in heavy at the trading deadline, even with them running away with the division. I still think the Dodgers look at the big picture and they want to win that World Series. And there's just no way that the Dodgers aren't going to. I would handicap them of getting your boy Luis Castillo at the trading deadline. What say you?
I was just going to talk about that. Yeah, I agree with you on that. And there's already rumors about that, so don't be surprised. I hate it because I'm sick of seeing my Reds leave. I mean, it's like a fire sale. I mean, pretty soon they're going to be selling the seats, and they probably won't even get anything for them either. I mean, the last few guys they gave the Reds gave away, they basically sold them for a box of Twizzlers and $10.
Well, if I'm the Reds, I almost wait till the offseason to trade Luis Castillo, because doesn't he have one more year left on his?
Yeah, I thought he did. But the fire sale mentality that owners, I'm just going to say
I know what the theory is. The theory is they think they can get more because whoever's renting him will have a year and a half. And if someone blows you away, then fair enough. But if you wait till the off season, you don't have 10 to 12 teams. You've got 29 teams that are going to be offering the package, because you can go to the winter meeting and say, this is who I have, pony up. But anyways, I think the Mets will be big players in him, because I do believe that they're going all in. And I don't believe that Jacob deGrom is going to be healthy for the rest of the season. He hasn't done it yet. Why would he all of a sudden do it? we have got to get going because we got the rest of the crew joining in. Doug, what is your walk-off for the day, sir?
My walk-off today is, since you're transitioning into football, I just want the Raiders to make sure they re-sign Darren Waller before the start of the season. That's one of my only walk-off.
We will be doing the tight end rankings here in a little bit. Where do you have Waller on your list?
I've got him at number 4.
Number 4. So you would take Kittle, Andrews, and Kelsey over him. I'll tell you what, I kind of lean towards Waller over Kittle. I worry about Kittle's injury, and I also believe that Waller's going to benefit from Devontae Adams coming into the picture.
Yes, I agree with that.
He may not get as many targets, but he's going to be a hell of a lot more open.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And I just had Kittle ahead because if he doesn't have an injury, they lean on him a lot more in San Francisco. He's a lot more of their passing offense.
All right, brother. Well, we shall see you. I've got guys coming in, and we will see you next Saturday. And enjoy the All-Star game.
All righty.
We'll be back in a flash. Joey and Tones are joining in, and we are getting ready for some football talk. We'll be back in just a moment.
Today we're discussing the 1939 New York Yankees. They had 4 players with 100 or more runs. Every player in their starting lineup finished with double digits in home runs and doubles. They also had 4 players who finished with 100 or more RBIs. The most anyone in their starting lineup struck out was 81 times. Only 1 player had more strikeouts than walks. 5 players had an on-base percentage of 400 or higher. 5 hitters produced an OPS plus over 130. The Yankees pitching was also great in 1939. Red Ruffing threw 233 innings with 148 ERA plus. Their bullpen ate up a lot of innings. Combined, Steve Sundra and Mariusa Russo threw 240 innings with an ERA below 2.75. That season, DiMaggio was incredible. He won the American League Most Valuable Player, batting .381 with a .671 slugging percentage, 30 home runs, and 32 doubles. Oh yeah, and he only struck out 20 times. In May of that year, they went 24-4, scoring 213 runs or an average of 7.6 runs per game. By the end of May, they were already 6.5 games up in the American League. They won the American League by 17 games with a record of 106-45. In the World Series that year, they faced the 97-win Cincinnati Reds. The 1939 Yankees have the 6th best winning percentage of any team that won the World Series. They also have the largest run differential in baseball history at plus 411.
You're listening to Braves Country Baseball. Please like and subscribe today. YouTube.com, Armchair Quarterbacks 1.
In 2 years, he had risen from a poor mill boy to the rank of a player in the major leagues. The ignorant mill boy had become the hero of millions. Out on the hot prairies, teams of Joe Jacksons battled desperately with the Ty Cobbs. There came a day when a crook spread money before this idol, and he fell. For a few dollars, he sold his honor. New York World.
TGIF on the Armchair Quarterbacks. Justin Waller and Mac McGee are back at it 6 p.m. Eastern to 7 p.m. Eastern every Friday evening right here on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel and your local CBS Sports affiliates. We're talking the NFL, Major League Baseball, Southern football, so grab you a cold one. It's finally Friday on the Armchair Quarterbacks, 6 p.m. Eastern to 7 p.m. Eastern. Waller and McGee getting you ready for your sports weekend.
Well, if you stand and block the screen, you may just lose your life. And that goes for all 30 friends and 30 friends' wives. And then the din falls silent. And we just
Welcome back here to the Armchair Quarterback Show. We are here live Saturdays from here till eternity, till the end of football season. And we're getting it going early this year in July. Got to love that. And welcoming on to the show is, I guess I got to introduce Joey first because he's rocking the Armchair jersey. Joey, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. We're at the first episode back. Going to go over a lot of football today, but had to rock the jersey for episode number 1 and what leads us into a great season coming up. I'm ready for football as the Cubs have fallen wayside.
And Tampa Tones, how the hell are you, sir?
It's great to be back on the Armchair Quarterbacks. I love it. Love talking sports with you fellas. We got football right around the corner. We got MLB trade deadline. What the hell's going on in college football? There's just so much bananas going on in the sports world, and it's awesome to talk about it with you gentlemen. I'm happy to be here.
All right, well, let's get into first things first. I do want to get this out of the way. The MLB trade deadline, and then we're going to dive into some football talk. Specifically, y'all are Cubs fans and you're also live in the same city as the White Sox. What are y'all hearing on both sides? Joey, I'll start with you as far as who are the Cubs likely to send and who are the White Sox trying to get?
Yeah, and from the Cubs perspective, heading into this trade deadline, of course, we're going to be letting a couple pieces go. I would say probably that starts with Ian Happ and Wilson Contreras. Not tons of teams you might say may need a backstop, but when you're looking at Wilson Contreras and the DH available, this guy is going to be a formidable person in your lineup. You could put him 3 through 6 really anywhere. And he's still young at the same time. And then at the other side of things, Ian Happ, who's pretty young. So, utility outfielder, could play a little bit infield here and there. He's having a good year. He made the all-star team. These are both all-stars actually. And I would see both of those leavings. In terms of the White Sox, every day it kind of changes. One day you get people, they want to, loosen it up a little bit, get rid of some guys, but here they are on a 4-game win streak, heading into this big twin series. If they can go out with 1 or 2 more wins before the All-Star break, I think you'll see to try them add on maybe a starting pitcher. They've been relying on guys like Johnny Cueto. You don't know how long that might last. So I think Cubs out Ian Happ and Wilson. I think if the Sox, could at least when one of these last 2 head in the break pretty confident, I think you might see them try and bolster up maybe on a starting pitcher.
Tones, what say you?
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting what happens with the Cubs, because you look at baseball and the landscape right now, and you got 7 definite sellers, perhaps the Nationals, A's, the Royals, the Tigers, the Reds. You could still lope the Orioles in there, even though they're playing better. They know they can't compete in that division comes day end. They know their pitching won't hold up. And then you got the Chicago Cubs. So in other words, it's a seller's market scarcity, because that works out well for the Cubs. Usually you have a lot more teams, but with the MLB adding on these wild card teams, you're going to get a lot more teams vying for playoff spots. So the Cubs are in a good position to sell if they were to sell some of these big guys. Now, with that being said, I don't think we see both of the big guys leave. Happ and Contreras. Happ is still pretty dang young, and he's playing his better baseball the past season and a half. I do think, sadly, Wilson Contreras is on his way out. If we haven't come to a deal with him yet, I highly doubt between now and the trade deadline is the time to strike that deal with Wilson Contreras. But in other words, with this trade market, you could get a ton, because there aren't a ton of catchers available from those teams, and I doubt the Reds trade Stevenson. Obviously, Orioles aren't trading Rutschman. So you look around at those other selling teams. The A's already traded Betancourt. The market for Contreras will be there. With Ian Happ, I wouldn't sell low. You're going to have a lot of outfielders available with those teams. So think about what you can get with Happ. If you're not happy with the return, hang on to Happ. That's what I think will end up happening. Then I think he'll end up signing a 1 or 2 year decent money deal to keep him around for at least a couple more years. Now you look at their bullpen, you're going to get David Robertson. He's going to get a lot of nibbles. You could package a Contreras with a guy like a David Robertson, with a guy like a Michael Givens, perhaps even starters Drew Smyly or Wade Miley, if they can manage to get healthy. So the Cubs could package Contreras with one of those more better relievers, a Robertson or a Givens. With a Smyly and a Miley, you could get a lot of elite prospects back, and you could hang on to Ian Happ at the same time. So that's what I hope and think the Cubs will do. You could even
Happ a free agent at the end of the year.
Happ is a free agent at the end of the year. But we have his 1 year option, so we could bring him back next year.
He's not a free agent.
Technically, in other words, we decide what happens to him.
Okay, so yes. Okay, so if he's not a free agent, I don't think I would trade Happ either. If I did, I would do it like Doug and I were just talking about with Luis Castillo of the Reds. I would do it in the offseason where you can get everybody, because right now about half the teams are saying, dude, I'm not making a trade, son. I got no chance. Look at this team. Look at that team. And we're not catching them. If we catch fire, that's fine. That's great. We make it. But I'm not betting on my team leapfrogging X amount of teams. You get to the offseason and a team that may be down on their luck this year, but expects to bounce back by next year, they could be in the Ian Happ offerings. And I definitely would trade Ian Happ at some point if I'm a Cubs front office, because you're not building around Ian Happ, but you can go get younger pieces. It also kicks the can down the road as far as you go and bring in a guy that may start next year. And it might be a bumpy start. We may start next year, but you're going to have control of them for the next 6 seasons, 5 seasons, whatever.
And it just depends with that too, because there will be a lot of outfielders available for trade. You're going to have guys like Tommy Pham, Ramon Laureano, and the likes of that. So the outfielder market will be a little more saturated in terms of the return package opposed to a catcher package, I believe. So I think really Contreras is a starting piece, and if they get a good enough return for him, I think they'll elect to keep Happ. But if they fall short in their Contreras wishes, I think that they might consider letting Happ go.
Yeah. As far as the big picture on the trade deadline, look, you talk about Wilson Contreras. I think it's a very, very likely that the New York Mets are going to put something together to get him. They've got McCann banged up, but even when he's healthy, he's not that impressive. And I do believe that the Mets are one of the few teams that are going to put something together for a catcher. Most of the other teams making a run in the playoffs right now are set at catcher. Maybe the Rays, but the Rays usually don't pony up a lot of prospects for a half-year rental.
And they got Betancourt, which might have
solved that. I would still rather have Contreras.
Oh yeah, any day of the week.
Absolutely.
You know, I never put the Braves out of the conversation because Anthopoulos will shock the hell out of you. But I don't see the Braves making any kind of move towards any of those guys, because what I'm looking at for the Braves at the trading deadline is 2 main things. I think they would like to get some depth in the outfield, especially from the left side of the plate. Most of our outfielders are right-handed, and you would like to have a little depth. Rosario coming back helps that, but it would be great to have another bat off the bench. If San Francisco were to fall out of it, Jock Peterson would be a perfect match again, right? But then the other big thing with the Braves, they may bring in a starter, though I don't see it because the Braves are so deep at starting pitching. Now, it would be nice to have a guy out there that you don't have to sweat about, right? But I'm looking more for the Braves back-end bullpen. They need one more guy, and they're getting Yates back at some point in August. But I still think they need one more guy that can solidify the back end of that bullpen. They've got 3 really good left-handers. Now, Will Smith will drive you crazy, but all in all, he's a good left-handed reliever. And they've got a plethora of decent right-handers. But when the game's on the line, losing Luke Jackson has killed this team. If Luke Jackson was healthy, the Braves are in first place right now. And I think they need someone to replace him. And you can't bet on Yates because the man hasn't pitched in 2 years. He's going to be coming off of rehab. You never know when the rehab gets nixed. You never know when the rehab goes, got to shut him down again. Look at Soroka. He's at it again. The guy bruises his knee and they got to shut him down. I'm like, really? His knee from bruising? Really? This guy's never going to come back. So if Atlanta goes for a starter, I don't think it's a top end. I don't think it's Luis Castillo.
I could see Atlanta being intrigued by, I don't know if Nationals would do business with them, but a package of like Nelson Cruz, Anibal Sanchez, and Kyle Finnegan, something like that. You bolster all ends a little bit.
if they're going to make a move for a hitter for the Nationals, I want Josh Bell.
Or Josh Bell, another one. I'm sorry, that would be more. I heard Josh Bell's
he's a
name.
switch hitter that you can pull off the bench, or you can put him in at DH. You can have him platoon with Ozuna, who's so up and down. It's not even funny. But I don't see them making a deal with the Nationals. I always look outside my division because I just assume the Nationals. If the Marlins make a trade with you, it's always something that you realistically are not going to be jumping up and down about. I mean, we did get Duvall last year, and he was a key piece, but I don't see that happening again. I know a lot of people want to see Jorge Soler come back, but the guy does have 2 more options on his contract. And that's why Anthopoulos would be more likely to go rent a Jock Peterson down the stretch. But if y'all missed it last night, San Francisco walked off Josh Hader with a grand slam last night. And so I keep wanting San Francisco to fall out of the race, so they'll trade Peterson to Atlanta. The more that they just hang around at the bottom of the wild card standings, they're not going to – San Francisco is just not going to dump out because they know as well as anybody else, if you can get in the tournament – look at the Braves last year. If you can get it in the tournament and get hot, you never know.
And what the hell's going on with Josh Hader?
I think it's between the ears. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be I think, he's taking the All-Star break off. They've already replaced him. I forget who it was that replaced him. But anyways, it's Rodon. When we talk about the All-Star snubs, what the hell's Rodon not doing on there? And then what? And Austin Riley is not on the damn All-Star team.
Dylan Cease from Chicago, I think, should have been on there too. A homer guy, Dylan Cease, should have probably made the All-Star game too. There was like Ian Happ, he had a good year. Don't get me wrong, but I don't see him as an All-Star. I thought there was some weird All-Star voting going on this year.
The one thing you do have to take into consideration is that every team gets a player in. It's not like the NBA All-Star where because you only have X amount of players, you don't take every single player. I mean, the rules state one player from every team gets to go to the All-Star game, right? And so that's why you've got the reliever from Arizona. His name is escaping me right now, but that's why he's in there. What the hell is this guy doing in here? Well, it's because Arizona has to have a guy, right? He doesn't have to go, and if he bails out, you don't have to replace him with an Arizona guy, but you have to name an Arizona guy, right? But Austin Riley, dude, he's number one at third baseman in Major League Baseball for third baseman ranks in home runs, RBIs, and OPS. Number one in all three. And they've had some people bail out here and there in the All-Star game. They added Garrett Cooper to the All-Star game from the Marlins. What the hell is that crap?
Yeah, I don't get that one. Garrett Cooper, he's been battling injuries all year. He's been battling COVID this year. Sure, he's hovering around 300, but it's not like his other numbers are great.
Like 7 home runs.
Yeah, and he's not a stolen base guy.
He played most of the season because I looked up his numbers a couple of days ago because I was like, you know what? I remember him being banged up. How many games has he played? He's played quite a bit. He's only missed about 15 games. He's got 7 home runs. Riley's just hit his 26th.
Yeah, and I even think a guy like Zach Wheeler, who was throwing pretty good baseball this year, could have made his way into the All-Star game as well. He had a 2.89 ERA, 8-5 record.
Again, that's I'll just call it the Diamondbacks rule.
What was that? Mantiply who made it for them? I'm guessing.
Yes, Mantiply. I always want to call him Mattingly because I think of Don Mattingly, and I have to catch myself. I don't remember his damn name. Yes, Mantiply.
And even a guy like him, whose ERA was under, he was under 1 for half a year, and then all of a sudden, not that his ERA is bad, but it's 2.5 now. It's like he's not really an all-star.
No, I mean, look, nothing against him per se, but really. That's
Dylan Cease has a 2.3 ERA in his third in Ks, and he didn't even get like a sniff of it. I mean, I know White Sox are underachieving a little bit, but when you got a 2.3 ERA and you have 140 Ks, to me, you should get some consideration. Like you said, with one player per team.
I didn't even think anything about that as far as Dylan Cease is concerned, but I think it's a valid point. Anyways, we'll move on from that. But I was, dude, Austin Riley, it's a slap in the face. The only thing that I could say could be going on, the man just had a kid recently. Maybe he doesn't want to go. And it's a possibility. But you possible. Want to go because it helps you in contract negotiations down the road.
Yes, that even though All-Star is one of those things, that's a fluff up number for agents. Oh, 8-time All-Star, or 4-time All-Star. And then you get bonus incentives for making All-Star. I also think Taylor Ward was having a pretty good year too. So a couple guys that a little more deserving or whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, it really is, I don't know. We'll move on, but it drives me crazy. But he may want the time off, or he may just be saying that because I saw him in an interview and he said, well, I'm fine with it either way, blah, blah, blah. He could just be saying that because rejection's a bitch, right?
He seems like a pros pro too, Riley.
Yeah, it's like when the chick shoots you down at the bar, lesbian. You got to be gay. She didn't want me.
I wanted a pizza anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, it's that kind of junk. It's like, you can't convince me Garrett Cooper belongs in there over Austin Riley. It doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely none. And like you said, that's a replacement. So you could literally pick anyone you really want.
Right. And oh, by the way, I'm pretty sure it's up to Snicker.
It's like, come on, man. He probably, if it's even up to him, that's even worse.
Snicker's the manager for years past. It was always up to the manager. Now, maybe that's changed. So I don't want to say for sure.
Maybe Manfred put in a reality TV show clause where, the maybe people's choice.
Look, dude, we're trying to renegotiate this guy long term. Don't put him in the damn All-Star game. We're never going to get it done. All right, moving on. AFC North talk.
Football time.
Good divisions, some fun divisions. We've gotten to it, and this one, I think this might be one of the more intriguing divisions. Now, it would have been a hell of a lot more fun if it would have been with Deshaun Watson in there, right? I think we can all agree the Browns are going to be crap, and we can just put them at the bottom of the division. Jacoby Brissett, no offense for those who pulled for him when they played for their terrible organizations.
You just had to go there. You just had to do it.
All season back, baby.
Cam Newton.
There's no way in hell Jacoby Brissett's winning the division, right? So it really comes down to, do you believe in the Ravens or the Bengals? I believe, because the Steelers, I mean, I think they can make a run at the playoffs, sure, but we don't know what they have at quarterback, right? It really comes down to, did the Bengals get hot? Or are they leaping past the Ravens? And is there any kind of dissension from Lamar Jackson not getting a deal done? Is he going to get, he doesn't seem like the type that would hold out, or doesn't seem like the type that would play less and play more cautious. But it would be in human nature to say, I'm gonna watch out for me, right? We will start this off. I'll start it off with Joey. Give me your 4 top to bottom, and then we'll get into our reasons why.
Yeah, from 4 to 1, I'm going to start at the bottom of things here, and I'm going to go with like you said, Cleveland. If you don't have a Deshaun Watson available, I'm sorry, I don't like your roster that much. I know Nick Chubb's a great running back. I know they have some great receiver options, but I'm not huge on them. If you don't have to start with the quarterback, I would start them at number 4. At number 3, I would go with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Even though I think they'll be more competitive this year, they'll probably have one of the best defenses in the NFL. I don't think they're going to do overly too much because of the quarterback play. You don't even know who's going to be starting exactly going into week 1. Will it be Trubisky? Will it be Pickett from Pittsburgh? It's going to come down to training camp. I could see it going either way. Probably Trubisky because he's the veteran and they paid him, but they really do like Pickett from what I hear. Number 2 and number 1, I've been fighting for a while, but if the Ravens are healthy, because people forget how unhealthy they were last season, one of the most unhealthy teams in NFL history, matter of fact, especially on the defensive side of things, but they still didn't add a receiver. In fact, they just let one go in Hollywood Brown, which didn't make sense because if you look at their depth chart, you're looking at guys like Bateman, Devin Duvernay, James Proche, Benjamin Victor, Jalen Moore. I'm a huge NFL fan. I don't even know these guys that well. So when you compare the Bengals and the Ravens, to me, like you mentioned, Lamar Jackson, it's all going to come down to him. If he's healthy and happy, I think they probably win that division. But can you guarantee that? I don't know. Do the Bengals have a Super Bowl hangover? I don't know. But at the end of the day, if it comes down to those two, I'm going to give the Bengals just the slight edge in what's going to be a really tough divisional race. So I'll go Bengals in first by about a game. Ravens make the playoffs, probably wild card. Third, Pittsburgh. Fourth, Cleveland.
Okay. Tones, what say you?
Yeah, Cleveland at the bottom, it pretty much explains itself. I mean, with a guy like Deshaun Watson, that's a whole new argument. You could argue them for number 1 if they have Deshaun Watson because their running game is that good and so is their pass rush. But without a quarterback with Jacoby Brissett in the mix, you know, they dished off Baker Mayfield. They're just meant for the basement. So I was at that Bucks Dolphins game last year where the Dolphins had to start Jacoby Brissett. Let's just say it wasn't pretty come the second half for Miami. So we know what he could do, and that's be an average quarterback. Number 3, honestly, this is where it gets a little interesting. I still have Pittsburgh third, but let's not lie to ourselves. The past couple of years with Big Ben Roethlisberger, as much as I love what he, did for the actual game of football, that hindered him, right? He was very slow, very immobile, very weak arm. At the end of the day, a Trubisky or a Pickett is almost an upgrade at quarterback one way or another for this Pittsburgh Steelers team at this point in time. So I think they're going to be a very interesting team this year. Their defense remains intact. It's very strong. Their wide receivers, they drafted a couple of good ones, I think Pickens and the likes of that. So they made some good moves, I think, around the football. I'll be interested to see what Pittsburgh does, and I do think they make the wild card this year. I'm going with Pittsburgh as a playoff team regardless of their quarterback. Number 2, I had the Cincinnati Bengals, and I think the Bengals made some great moves. They got La'el Collins. They got Alex Kappa from the Buccaneers. They got Ted Karras from the Patriots to really bolster that offensive line and whatnot. But to me, they really just didn't beef up on the defense like they should have done. They had an opportunity there. They remain with Eli Apple as one of their starting cornerbacks. I think that'll be a little bit of a problem for them. And at the end of the day, I think that there's still going to be a wild card playoff team. So I do think 2 of the 3 wild cards do come from their division, as I think the other AFC conference will beat the hell out of each other and they only end up getting 1 wild card. But I think Ravens end up winning the division. I think they made some very good moves on the defensive side of the football. They brought in a veteran running back like Mike Davis. They should be getting guys like J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards healthy this year. They're a run-first ball club. Calais Campbell should be a huge help. Brent Urban on that defensive front. I mean, they really always make the moves appropriate to make sure their defense is top of the notch. So I like what they did. I really like their defensive front. And I like some of their defensive backs as well. I think Marlon Humphrey is one of the more underrated corners in the game of football. And Lamar Jackson in a contract year representing himself. I think we might see Mr. MVP type Lamar Jackson come to play football this year. So I'm going with Ravens winning that division with the record of 12-5. Bengals following at 11-6. Steelers tied with the Bengals, but losing out on the tiebreaker. The Browns getting a measly 4-5 wins.
I've gone back and forth on this in the last couple of days.
It's tough.
I think I'm going to side with the Bengals, and the reason being, first of all, I'll tell you what, the hate for Eli Apple is real, man. Everyone hates him for whatever reason. He's not as bad as everyone makes him out to be. But I think Cincinnati, here's my biggest problem. In a normal season, you ask me a year from now, I would definitely be taking the Bengals. I'd take them by 2 or 3 games. But when you come off the Super Bowl, sometimes that hangover is real and you have a hard time. You stumble out of the gate. And if you stumble out of the gate and Baltimore starts racking up W's, how do you win your division? Well, when I look at Cincinnati and they start their first game, this is tough. Their first game is at home, but it's against the Steelers. I mean, that's a divisional.
That's a good one.
Game. Then you got to go to Dallas. Okay. You go to the Jets, you play the Dolphins, but what if you're stumbling and you're 2-2 and you go to the Ravens that 5th game of the season on I guess that's a Sunday night. That could be very tricky. And if you start out 2-3, Baltimore's going to run away with the division. But I'm still going to side with the Bengals because I have a hard time picking a team in this day and age whose quarterback can't throw the ball. When Hollywood Brown, who's supposed to be, is he either related to Lamar Jackson or they're somehow very good close friends via family? It's something like that. When he asks to get moved because he doesn't want to be in Baltimore, and for good reason, he was wasting his career. And not that Hollywood Brown is perfect. We know that he's got skill at hand sometimes, but he's looking at the fact that, hey, I want to go to an offense that throws the ball so I can catch the ball.
And I do think there's something a little weird there, though, right? Because his cousin Antonio Brown, the crazy dude, wanted to play for the Ravens at one point. So that means obviously Hollywood was telling him to come to Baltimore, and now they end up without Hollywood. So maybe some behind the scenes things were happening there, too.
I mean, when Rashad Bateman and probably Devin Duvernay are your top 2 wide receivers, you got issues. Now, obviously, they're
got to crack the cold one to that.
Their best receiver is Mark Andrews, right? But you're also coming off a year with Baltimore, too, that makes me a little hesitant, though the talent is real. J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, their 2 best running backs are both coming back from severe injuries. So we don't know what we get from him. They were so desperate, they brought Mike Davis in. Okay. That's my concern with Baltimore, but I do believe that Baltimore's defense is going to be much improved. I liked what they did in the offseason, and it's going to be, for me, it's going to be Cincinnati, but by the slimmest of margins.
I forgot that Kyle Hamilton draft pick from Notre Dame for the Ravens is huge too. He's a big time safety back there.
I mean, the entire team should be loaded top to bottom.
They must get the most players back out of any team because they had about a dozen injuries when it came to halfway through the year, 4 at the running back position.
Well, the great thing, and this is why I think Lamar Jackson deserves every dollar he gets. When he is your quarterback, you can draft different than everybody else in the National Football League. You don't have to pay elite wide receivers because elite wide receivers don't want to be there because elite wide receivers want to get their money and they want to get their targets. So you can go out and continue to build your receivers through the draft, get the also-rans in free agency, and use your draft day and your free agency dollars to bolster that defense.
Yeah, because I was going to say, you still got guys like T.Y. Hilton, Julio Jones, Odell Beckham. There's still a decent receiver market out there later in camp for teams.
Right. I mean, all those guys are washed up.
I know, but at least it brings a presence better than
I don't know if OBJ's washed up, but the guy did get an ACL tear pretty late in his career. So we'll see how.
And he could have been MVP of the Super Bowl if he would have stayed healthy, potentially.
Exactly. And the Rams probably win that game much more comfortably if he doesn't get injured.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's take a really quick break because we got to pay some bills. When we come back, we are going to talk college football, the shakeup. Man, it is real. Big Ten, SEC. We'll be back in a flash here on the Armchair Quarterback Show.
She's bald.
Bald.
What do you think I mean? Bald. 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 She's bald. She's bald.
Jack Sawinski made history, becoming the first rookie with 3 home runs, including a walk-off as the Pirates beat the Giants 4-3. The left fielder went 3 for 3 with 3 home runs, 3 RBI, and a walk. After the game, Sawinski said, "To do it on Father's Day with my dad here, I know it means a lot to him, and it means a lot to me. He's always been there. Just being able to share that, knowing he's here, it's awesome. It's hard to describe." His first home run came in the 4th inning to tie it at 2. 2 innings later, he hit an even deeper home run to right that gave the Pirates a 3-2 lead. His final home run was on the third pitch of the bottom of the ninth. That ball also went to right field. This is not his first walk-off. He had a walk-off after hitting one against the Diamondbacks. Suwinski is the second Pirate rookie to hit 3 home runs in a game, joining Andrew McCutchen.
A South Carolina country boy, he had learned how to bat from a Confederate veteran who had learned his baseball from Union soldiers in a northern prison camp. He had hoped to be a pitcher until he broke a batter's arm with a wild pitch. Jackson could neither read nor write, but he could hit. 408 in his rookie year. 356 lifetime, the third highest average in history. His home runs were called Saturday specials because most of the textile workers' games in which he got his start were played on Saturdays. And he hit them with a special 48-ounce bat, Black Betsy, made for him by a local lumberman from the north side of a hickory tree, and darkened with coat after coat of Jackson's tobacco juice. Ty Cobb.
Hey, Braves fans, the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel are bringing you Braves baseball all season long. Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and I'll be bringing you Braves baseball play-by-play for the Braves fans out there, for all of Braves country. So pull up an armchair and join us for Braves country baseball, first pitch to last pitch, Tuesday and Friday nights, right here on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. TGIF on the Armchair Quarterbacks. Justin Waller and Mac McGee are back at it 6 p.m. Eastern to 7 p.m. Eastern every Friday evening right here on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel and your local CBS Sports affiliates. We're talking the NFL, Major League Baseball, and Southern football, so grab you a cold one. It's finally Friday on the Armchair Quarterbacks, 6 p.m. Eastern to 7 p.m. Eastern. Waller and McGee getting you ready for your sports weekend.
It's important to remember the value of taking time for ourselves to do the things that help us grow and explore, like learning something new. And now with the Great Courses Plus, it's never been easier to experience the joys of learning. The Great Courses Plus offers thousands of streaming videos that cover hundreds of fascinating topics, from World War II to choosing the perfect wine. You can even take a course on the U.S. government or dealing with stress and anxiety. And because the Great Courses Plus partners with world-class professors and experts, you're always receiving thoroughly vetted, high-quality content from every lecture. Plus, you can watch or listen anytime, anywhere with the Great Courses Plus app. So take a little time for you. Sign up for the Great Courses Plus today for a free month of unlimited access. Visit thegreatcoursesplus.com/radio to get started. That's thegreatcoursesplus.com/radio.
Welcome back here to the Armchair Quarterbacks One YouTube channel and the Armchair Quarterback Show here on Saturday mornings. We'll be going 9 to noon every Saturday and have all the fellows with us. And you'll see it'll be like a revolving door. You'll see some come and some go and, go back and forth. And we're going to mix up all the talk. It's going to be heavily football, but we are going to cover baseball all the way through the playoffs. So, I know a lot of baseball fans tune into this channel, so don't fret on that.
Did my guy Angelo make the cut?
I expect him back. We haven't talked to his biggest thing is his coaching schedule. So I haven't talked to him yet. He's a teacher. He normally takes off during the summer, so I expect him back closer to football season.
Or his electric bill from those gambling losses.
or the fact that he never takes right down. But anyways, I have talked to him a few times. I know he's on cloud 9 with the Yankees. They haven't played well this week, but he's a huge Yankees fan. And I would have lost a lot of money if you would have had me bet on whether or not the Yankees would win a home series against the Cincinnati Reds. I don't know what the money line was on that, because I would have never looked at it. But can you imagine if you took the Reds to win in Yankee Stadium to win the series? I mean, that had to be around plus 700. It's got
easy.
And that's why baseball's baseball. The Reds won 5 out of 6 against the Rays and the Yankees in consecutive series. So they swept the Rays and then they beat.
Weren't they both on the road?
I think the Rays might have been at home, but either way, a sweep against them, and then going on the road and doing that to the Yankees.
I try to follow the Rays. They're my favorite American League team, but man, they play at the same time as Atlanta does every night, and I'm in their blackout market.
And I apologize for the Cubs in advance. Not going to be helping your Braves much. They have a doubleheader against the Mets today. Let's just hope they could split for you.
Man, can y'all get a split? That's all I need.
I'm hoping Stroman has a good comeback start against his former team.
That's what I was hoping. Now, is he game 1 or is he game 2? Do you know?
Tones, I think game 1, but I'm not overly positive.
Okay. Yeah, I think he is planning on going game 1, and then game 2 for the Cubs, I believe, will be Drew Smiley today as well. So double dip of veterans. You get 2 veterans on the bump. You hope they could deliver you 2 W's. That's former Brave Drew Smiley right there too, pitching in tonight's game. So hey, you got a Bravo out there for you. Look at your excitement on your face.
Look at that smile.
Not a left-hander I'm looking to bring back at the trade deadline, unlike Jock Peterson.
You're smiling for Smiley, my man.
Maybe you get Peterson and Tommy Pham, and then you could have a fantasy battle.
I'll tell you what, I do not miss the days of him starting and Will Smith trying to close it out. It was about a year ago today. I was going through this, I'm like, and no Acuna in the lineup. I'm like, oh my god. Oh
and I'll actually be in Wrigley tomorrow, so I'll bring you a W, my friend. I'll try and if the Cubs are losing, I'll run on the field quick or try something for you to ignite it.
Looking at the scoreboard for today to answer. So Stroman versus Walker in game 1. Damn it. I was hoping Walker was going up against
Scherzer Smiley game 2.
Oh, that's an automatic L.
And then tomorrow is
oh my god.
Tomorrow's David Peterson against Adrian Sampson, I believe.
You hate to hear
I'll
it.
be honest with you. I'll be happy if the Cubs win one of these.
We could win tomorrow.
4 games. I know they already lost game 1. They win 1.
I like our chances tomorrow.
Because Peterson looked really good, by the way, against the Braves the other night. I know he didn't get the W, but he looked really good until like the 6th inning when Matt Olson took him deep. But
what did he get? 8 or 9 Ks that night, I think.
I believe it was 9. He almost made it through 6 innings. He just hit a wall, and honestly, he almost got out of it. Olson had a hell of an at bat, and that final fastball, he took it to Tatertown, and it was over. And then the moonshot that was hit after that to make it a 4-1 game. That's the only. The problem with the Braves is they're too home run heavy. I don't see them string together a lot of hits. But anyways, we will move on from that. I'm eat up with, those two. Whoever the Mets are playing, I watched that on one monitor with the Braves on the other monitor. And
I did love your Orlando Arcia home run call yesterday as well. You could tell the Braves are hitting a lot because the call keeps getting a little better from you.
I just picture Mac looking at one screen each, like crazy guys from Mr. Deeds. One guy on the Mets, one on the Braves, going each way. Your eyes just going crazy trying to keep track.
Well, typically what I have is I have 2 or 3 monitors on the Braves game, so that if something goes out, I have a backup.
That's good. Yeah.
Usually one of them is on the visiting team's feed. Because look, their camera angles are different. They'll show statistics you don't see on the Braves. And so to me, so what I'm normally looking at is I've got this big monitor with the Braves, and right above it is the road monitor.
Nice.
And then I usually have at least one more that's a backup feed. So if it goes out, and then I'll have that random other monitor that will either be on the Mets or something while I'm keeping up with the scoreboard as well. So normally I have the Mets sitting off to the side so I don't get sidetracked. I just look over there during the breaks because they can get really confusing sometimes. You're over calling the play and you look up, see someone get a base hit against the Mets, and wait a minute, what the hell just happened?
Mets are beating the Cubs 8-0. What the heck?
Man, Scherzer, good luck with that tonight. Whoever goes out to that game. Oof.
Good thing I'm not going tonight.
Yeah.
run into a buzzsaw.
It looks like, are they calling for rain again?
Yeah, tonight and tomorrow there's chances of rain.
Not pretty weather here.
We're gonna have to hold our breath for all three of these games.
The day game will definitely get in, but you don't know about the night game, essentially, right?
The night game and tomorrow's day game are calling for rain right now. So that could be 2 or 3 rainouts in a 4-game series. And it's interesting because I don't believe the Mets come back to town. So then that would maybe be better for you, because then the Mets down the stretch will have to travel a 1 or 2 ouncer to Chicago.
Right. You'd probably have to knock it out in one day. You'd probably have to play a doubleheader on an off day.
Exactly. So you're really hoping for another rainout, whether it's tonight or tomorrow.
And that's also one way for the Braves to make up ground against the Mets, is for them not to play.
Hey, you know who's going to have to get
while we're playing the Nationals. Let's go.
You know who's going to have to get used to all this bad weather is a team like USC. They're going to be playing a lot of Midwest football coming up this year. A lot of it. Good luck coming all the way from Cali for snow football.
You know, with USC and UCLA joining the Big Ten as we transition into college football talk, the other thing will be, because I think it'll be real, is the Big Ten teams are going to have to go out west, and they're probably going to get some really late kickoffs. Because let's say, for instance, USC is playing Penn State, right? Whoever's broadcasting it by that year, whatever the, whether they're looking at 2024, 2025, somewhere in that area, it will probably be Fox. Fox is going to want that as their primetime kickoff. Right? But they're going to want it for the West Coast as well. So you could see like a 9 p.m. Eastern kickoff.
That would be crazy.
By that time, and we'll go ahead and transition over into that talk. We already know USC and UCLA are heading to the Big Ten. As I'm making a chart here as we speak.
Good luck. This could
SEC is rumored at this point to have Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina, and Virginia all on speed dial right now. They're trying to work something out, trying to figure something out. And so the casualties that come from that, first of all, I think the Big Ten wants to do more West Coast stuff. They don't want just 2 teams out in the West. And I figure you have to guess that Oregon and Washington are the next 2 logical steps. Because then you get 4 teams out there. And you might be looking for more than that, but you get 4 teams, and they all, and so you get the state of California, the state of Washington, the state of Oregon. So you have the entire West Coast where the majority of the population is out there.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I heard that those 2 actually put in bids to become Big Ten members, but the Big Ten does have him on hold right now. And obviously the ever so lasting Notre Dame name keeps floating around too.
That's what I'm curious about. What's going to happen?
Notre Dame has to join a conference at this
point. Gotta go. They have to.
And it'd be Big Ten, right? It just makes too much sense.
I think you have to, unless something like ground shaking happens and Notre Dame decides to go play football in the ACC, which convinces Florida State and Clemson to stay.
Yeah, I could see that as a good second choice because, I mean, their basketball are already involved. Obviously,
it really depends what happens with those teams that are on the fence with the ACC right now. Like Max said, if they get Notre Dame and they say, hey, we're going to be one of these big conferences, that might be game changing. But at the same time, if one of those teams leave, Notre Dame's going to give them the peace sign for sure.
That's the only way that the ACC is saved for what we know it now. Its structure. Now I could see the ACC still staying as an entity, but they end up swallowing up some teams from other conferences, and they end up being like a really large conference as far as land wise, right? Justin and I kind of kicked this around last night. My biggest concern is, let's say it's a done deal. Let's say, for instance, all 4 of those teams in the ACC are heading to the Southeastern Conference, like it's being hinted. What happens to the teams who are basically football programs They're not basketball programs like Pittsburgh, Miami. What happens to them? Because I don't think the Southeastern Conference it doesn't look like they have any interest in adding Miami. Doesn't look like they have much interest in adding Boston College or Pittsburgh. Do they stay in the ACC and try to bring teams in there, or do they turn into some kind of mega conference with the Big 12?
I think them and the Big 12 merge, because you see the Big 12 adding teams. I know nothing huge to this point, but they've had a few nice ads. You get a Houston in the mix. You get a UCF in the mix. You got BYU in the mix as well. So they're adding pretty good football programs. And then if you're the ACC and you're one of those leftover pockets of Pittsburgh and Miami, you look at the Big 12 and you see teams like Baylor, you see teams like BYU. That could still be a pretty dang good conference. Obviously still a little weaker, but to me, an ACC and Big 12 merge is almost a must if they want to stay alive. And I think the Big 12's obviously saying, hey, we're not going anywhere, because they're adding programs. I know they might not be the big names of the world, but to me, a BYU, a Houston, a UCF, those are some really good replacement squads for what they've lost so far. So I look for them to keep adding teams from the ACC and trying to keep up. I think they've done a good job for what they've been able to work with.
Yeah, I could look. Here's the big thing when it comes to like Miami. Miami's going to want to go somewhere where football is somewhat of a priority, and that baseball is also a priority. They don't really give a damn about their basketball program, right?
All right.
Big 12 makes a lot of sense for Miami at that point. I know geographically it doesn't, but if you're the Big 12, it gets you a foot in the market of South Florida, right? Mm-hmm. It also puts you into the East Coast if you go grab Pittsburgh, if you go grab Boston College. We know Boston College has never been that great at much of anything. They're usually decent program across the board, but they're not a juggernaut in any sport. You get the Boston, Massachusetts market if you add Boston College. So either BC gets swallowed up by the Big Ten, which to me makes a lot more sense, or they end up jumping into the Big 12. And who knows what these conferences are actually going to be called.
Well, because pretty much, I mean, this is what I don't like about it. We're pretty much headed towards a superpower in SEC and Big Ten. And then everything else kind of I don't want to say falls to the wayside. That's the wrong term to put it. But it really seems like in the next 3 to 5 years, you're going to have 2 big conferences, and then good luck to everybody else. I don't like that.
I forgot Cincinnati's joining the Big 12 too. That's another good program joining the Big 12. So, if these programs get built up, that's another thing. The Big 12, they need these ACC teams. If you add the ACC teams with a BYU, a UCF, a Cincinnati, a Houston, to me, they do remain a big time conference. So it's do or die time for them. They need to make these moves.
Yeah. Of course, all of this is still in limbo because they're not going to join a conference that crumbles. Right.
Right.
So, but yeah, if Cincinnati, if all these stay true, the BYUs, the Cincinnatis and whatnot, you could have, I know the name's taken, but it would make sense to be called something like the Conference USA, where you've got the entire United States engulfed in the, because look, if you have Miami, Boston, Cincinnati, Ohio, Oklahoma State, BYU, Baylor, who gets Stanford? I think the Big Ten grabs Stanford. I think they want Stanford.
I would agree with that.
I think that makes a lot of sense myself.
And Stanford's pretty much known as a baseball program. They've had some good years in basketball. They've had some good years in football. But the big thing about if you have Stanford, you grab the San Francisco television.
You'd probably have to break up the Big Ten too, the 2 divisions, right? You don't think they hang on?
Yeah. And can we put USC over in the Wisconsin division so they can quit just sleepwalking to the conference title?
Yeah, they need
a joke how they set it up.
They need more even conference, divisions in the Big Ten. There's clearly
we were joking last night that the USC would go to the East and UCLA would go to the West.
Hey, You know, you never
Watch
know.
the Big Ten championship, USC, UCLA. What a catastrophe that would be for the Midwest.
I almost feel like you'd have to get rid of some
Rutgers, see you later. Just why are they even there?
If you have a lot of teams, you're going to have divisions, but it almost makes sense not to have divisions. But you can't have like 20 something teams in a conference and not have divisions, because then it's chaos when it comes to the schedule. I still foresee the SEC and the Big Ten being around 24 teams when the dust settles, and you end up with 4 divisions in each of 6 teams.
I could see that.
You get semifinal weekend for the SEC and Big Ten, and you get conference final weekend for the SEC and Big Ten. And then you don't need an expanded playoffs as far as going past 4. I mean, go past 8, because people keep talking about 12 or 6 or 16. You only need the best of 8, because they would eliminate themselves in the conference finals.
Yeah, and I mean, in realness, that's going to be a lot of viewership for college football. Not that I like the realignment, but you know, people love those finals, conference finals games. That could be bringing big money. And well, it just sucks if you're a fan of the pack. Other than that, it's college football, I guess, and viewership standing will be in a good place eventually. It'll take some getting used to for sure, though.
And I know this is obvious, but just to be clear, so we have this full season as it stands, and then it would be for the following season. So we're talking about 2 seasons from now, correct?
2023 or 2024 is
so
a lot.
Okay.
At least what's being rumored is around 2025-ish, give or take a year. So
okay, so
it depends when they put in their bids to leave too. Like I know all those, the BYUs, the Cincinnati's of the world, they've put this in motion a couple summers ago. So their projected move date is a year ahead of everything else. Really, they're supposed to start next year. The USC's, the UCF's, BYU's going to the Big 12.
Because I know ACC has an ESPN contract for like the next bajillion years too. I don't know if that plays a factor, but it seems like a lot of things still need to be figured out.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of logistics and TV deals, and you know, NCAA might not be an entity much longer. There's so much stuff to deal with behind all this fluff.
Yeah, when it gets down to the nitty gritty of the big boys coming in, there are buyouts that can be put in place, but it really comes down to the urgency of it. One of the things that has been talked about too is if the divisions start to crumble, then the buyouts go away. And at that point, these things could happen a lot faster. So technically your ACC teams, Florida State, Clemson, et cetera, are locked into the ACC television schedule till 2036 because they signed a ridiculously long deal.
That's what I was thinking. Yep.
Really stupid. But that could go by the wayside if ESPN wants to pull out of their television deal because they're losing Florida State and Clemson. And as long as Florida State and Clemson are going to go to the SEC, which is also ran by ESPN. They'd be a little more upset if Florida State or Clemson went to the Big Ten, which is ran by Fox, right? But if you're going to get even, Steven, and just push it across the board. And so a lot of this is the unfun part of it. It's litigation. And what can a team do and when can they do it? And if they decide to do it by X date, what's it going to cost them? But I think the SEC and ACC, I think the SEC is going to swallow up the football programs, and the ACC will combine forces with the Big 12 along with the Pac-12. It's going to be some kind of combination where you're going to get weird rivalry game where it's going to be the Miami Hurricanes versus the Arizona State Sun Devils, right? But
some Washington State UCF action.
And it's not a big deal, to be honest with you, in football season. But man, those are expensive road trips to have to take to go play like women's college volleyball.
Yeah, or, you know, men's badminton.
You know, at that point, that just turns into intramural.
Yeah, you guys just play each other at
You're
campus.
not playing anywhere off campus.
You pay for the Uber, my friend.
you figure out a way to schedule UCF and, let's go.
You take one of those small charter planes that like fall apart as you get on your trip to the other place.
We're going to put you on the Brittany Griner plane. Joey, what is your walk-off for the day as we're about to welcome in Bobby?
Yeah, my walk-off is we're a little less than 2 weeks away from training camp, but enjoy the British Open today. So we got a couple days left in the action there, but less than 2 weeks from NFL countdown, cracking a cold one. First episode of Armchair Quarterbacks. It's been a great episode. Mr. Bobby the Kid, there he is. Have a good one, y'all.
Growing up before our eyes. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we will have Bobby come in, and he's going to chime in on SEC expansion. We'll be back in a flash. Take a few minutes here on the Armchair Quarterbacks. Don't go anywhere. The outlook wasn't brilliant for the Mudville Nine that day. The score stood 4-2 with but one inning more to play. And then when Cooney died at first and Barrows did the same, a pale-like silence fell upon the patrons of the game. A straggling few got up to go in deep despair. The rest clung to hope which springs eternal in the human breast. They thought, if only Casey could but get a whack at that, we'd put up even money now with Casey at the bat. But Flynn proceeded, as did Jimmy Blake, and the former was a hoodoo, while the latter was a cake. So upon that stricken multitude, grim melancholy sat, for there seemed but little chance of Casey getting to the bat. But Flynn let drive a single to the wonderment of all, and Blake, the much despised, tore the cover off the ball. And when the dust had lifted and men saw what had occurred, there was Jimmy safe at second and Flynn a hugging third. Then from 5,000 throats and more, there rose a lusty yell. It rumbled through the valley. It rattled in the dell. It pounded on the mountain and recoiled upon the flat. For Casey, mighty Casey, was advancing to the bat. There was ease in Casey's manner as he stepped into his place. There was pride in Casey's bearing, and a smile lit Casey's face. And when responding to the cheers, he lightly doffed his hat. No stranger in the crowd could doubt 'twas Casey at the bat. 10,000 eyes were on him as he rubbed his hands with dirt. 5,000 tongues applauded when he wiped them on his shirt. Then while the writhing pitcher ground the ball into his hip, defiance flashed in Casey's eyes. A sneer curled Casey's lip. And now the leather-covered sphere came hurtling through the air, and Casey stood a-watching it in haughty grandeur there. Close by the sturdy batsman, the ball unheeded sped. That ain't my style, said Casey. Strike one, the umpire said. From the benches black with people, there went up a muffled roar, like the beating of the storm waves on a stern and distant shore. Kill him! Kill the umpire! Shouted someone on the stand, and it's likely they'd have killed him had not Casey raised his hand. With a smile of Christian charity, great Casey's visage shone. He stilled the rising tumult. He bade the game go on. He signaled to the pitcher, and once the dun sphere flew, but Casey still ignored it, and the umpire said strike two. Fraud, cried the maddened thousands, and echo answered fraud. But one scornful look from Casey, and the audience was awed. They saw his face grow stern, and cold they saw his muscles strain. And they knew that Casey wouldn't let that ball go by again. The sneer is gone from Casey's lip. His teeth are clenched in hate. He pounds with cruel violence his bat upon the plate. And now the pitcher holds the ball, and now he lets it go. And now the air is shattered by the force of Casey's blow. Oh, somewhere in the favored land, the sun is shining bright. the band is playing somewhere, and somewhere hearts are light, and somewhere men are laughing, and somewhere children shout. But there is no joy in Mudville. Mighty Casey has struck out. Hey, Braves fans, the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel are bringing you Braves baseball all season long. Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and I'll be bringing you Braves baseball play-by-play for the Braves fans out there, for all of Braves country. So pull up an armchair and join us for Braves country baseball, first pitch to last pitch, Tuesday and Friday nights, right here on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. Song goes on forever. All right. Welcome back here to the Armchair Quarterbacks. Joining us is Bobby. Bobby, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. We're getting closer and closer to football season. Of course, baseball's heating up, and you do have the Open. I haven't had a chance to watch a whole lot of it. I do want to try to watch a little bit of it today, but what sucks about it is you finally get your day going and get your chores done, and the damn thing's off the air. So I'm hoping to wake up tomorrow to breakfast to watch the tail end of the Open Championship. It was a little disappointing that we didn't get Tiger Woods in day 3. But you still have a really interesting field. And have y'all tuned into it at all?
I have been. I'm in a pool, actually. And Bobby, great to see you, buddy. Hope all has been well, my friend. But I'm in a pool. Joe and I did a pool, and, you get to pick 6 golfers and whatnot. We actually came in second and split $1,000. And the last one we joined, it was the PGA Championship. But this time we didn't have that great of luck. And I've been watching every morning at work. I like to see the OGs still swinging. You got the John Daly's of the world involved and whatnot. But other than that, just the Cams. It's been Cam Smith and Cam Young who have been coming on strong. So it's been fun to see.
Didn't make the cut, did he?
John Daly, no, he did not. He did, but he didn't do terrible. But he's one of those guys who just goes, has a good time, smokes some cigs, drinks some beers, and
he's just a clown. I mean, he's been a clown for years, and that's all he does now is he does it for the show. I know a lot of people love him because they envision themselves as John Daly, but I mean, you have to look at the other side of it that I always do. He wasted a lot of talent because he couldn't stop shoving cheeseburgers and cheap whiskey down his gullet,
those couple big wins got to him. But hey, I mean, kudos to him. He's still relevant in golf, and so hey, if he's still able to do it.
I did see a funny TikTok where there were people mocking John Daly as he was warming up. John Daly was going back and forth with them, and that was funny. I know he thought he was being super clever, but the guys that were roasting were pretty damn funny. I was like, they're saying all the things I've been thinking of all these years.
Him and Charles Barkley were on the golf course the other day. That was cracking me up seeing those two golfing together.
Right. The difference is Charles Barkley's been retired for 30 years. Anyways, on that front, by the way, Smith leading 13 under, Young at 11 under, and McIlroy, who him and Dustin Johnson will bring eyeballs to the TV. They are 10 under and 9 under respectively. They have not began yet. Lowry is 11 under. He's through 11, but they'll start actually pretty soon, I believe.
Uncle Phil had a bad round. He didn't make the cut either.
That's a shame.
I think he was +4, and he missed it. I'll tell you who's getting hot though. Will
grabbing whore go back to the live golf tour and to never be heard of again.
Will Zalatoris is playing better, so that's a name to watch as we move on these next couple of days. I'd be interested to see if Zalatoris can make a push. I don't think he'll come in first by any means, but I'd watch his name to keep moving up the leaderboard a little bit.
I'm a very superficial golf fan, as you can tell. Like, I pretty much only know the big names, and I'll watch.
Same here.
I'll watch the 5 majors. Yes, I do count the TPC as a major, but that's it. Like a lot of these names, I wasn't really familiar with who Smith was. I had to look him up. Same thing with Young. All the others that are in the at the top of the field, I'm pretty. Hell, most of the golf I've learned with when Tony Aguilini comes on the show and talks golf, but he hasn't been on in a while because of adding a kid to his daily routine. If it ain't for that, to me, golf season ends tomorrow afternoon, and that's it.
During football season, ain't nobody watching golf on a Saturday and Sunday in the heart of,
I don't even know if this is one of the years where you get like the President's Cup or the Ryder's Cup or whatever, because I literally don't pay attention until I see it in the news.
Yeah, besides the majors and once a year when they have that match thing, I might tune into that, when it's a celebrity golf, whether it's Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers or Charles Barkley. But other than those 5 to 6 events a year, I'm not going to be tuning in much. Maybe the Veldspar, but that's about it.
I want to tell you what's fun. If you see me start kicking and cussing and screaming, our AC went out last night in the middle of the broadcast. I started smelling something. I was like, what in the hell is that smell? Anyways, we got to it died.
Jeez.
I have no AC in Florida in late July.
I'm praying, bro.
Very difficult. My cool. I almost ran this with no light in front of me. I was like, yeah, what the hell with this?
Armchair after hours, armchair dark.
Almost did this in the dark with like look like I'm an informant for the FBI or whatever. With like when Doug came on this morning, he was sitting right in front of the light. And I'm like, what are you doing to me, dude? First episode, here we go again. But they're saying that it's going to be one of the hotter weekends. I'm like, of course it is. Thankfully, I've got a pool that after this show, I'm taking the dog, me and her going straight into it. Let's go ahead and move on to college football talk. The big thing, obviously, is all the shifting and alignment. Bobby, we talked about this in the last segment where UCLA and USC are definitely going to the Big Ten. And then it looks like Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina, and Virginia all going to the SEC. You being an SEC fan, a Florida Gator fan, what say you?
Well, we're already not looking as good enough as it is. So it wouldn't help to add a few more teams to the mix. But as a whole, as a college football fan, I have a little bit of concern about it. Mostly because it was already such a good product. College football has been great for so long. I don't think it was necessary to go and shake things up to this extent. So I think with all the recent changes come with college football, with NIL, and obviously now all the conferences aligning and stuff, I don't know how much good it is going to do compared to what we've had before.
I feel sorry for people like you that didn't get to live during the golden era of college football, because it's coming to an end as far as the interest for college football from the standpoint of all the fans that always liked it because it was an amateur sport. It's no longer an amateur sport anymore. It's amateur-ish, right? You still get a lot of sloppy play, but most of them are going to start getting paid now.
Yeah.
And college football, it's golden era to me. Maybe it's because I grew up during it, but I thought it wasn't any better than the 1990s. 1980s was really good as well. Started to taper off a little bit into the 2000s. When you lost the BCS and you went to the college football playoffs, I felt that hurt it a little bit, because there's no longer a do or die feeling about the college football regular season like there used to be. Used to, like, if you lost one game, like, oh God, it's going to take a miracle for us to make the national title, right?
Yeah.
And bowl games were important. They're no longer.
Oh yeah, those are forgotten about now.
The only thing that the NIL deals might bring back, they might bring back the bowl games because they might say, kid, I'm not paying you if you're not playing in the bowl game.
That's fair. Yeah.
I mean, Alabama's quarterback is making more than Jalen Hurts this year.
Whew.
So you're going to get a product that might get watered down
And for
too,
good
right?
reason.
Yeah, but okay. And that fact aside, you might get a watered down product though, because these kids are making millions in college now, and they might not have that
And the
ambition.
kid that's signing for Tennessee, I don't mean to cut you off. I can't remember his name, but he's supposed to join the Volunteers next year, and the rumor is, he denies it, but the rumor is an $8 million NIL deal. Now I don't know what that means. That means $2 million per year for 4 years, and he has to stay I don't know what it means, but that's what was reported. $8 million. The guy who's never thrown a pass in college football.
That was the kid who had like long hair from California. Is that the one?
Yeah, I believe that's him. And I mean,
long hair or not.
We've seen it before too, right? Look at a kid like Johnny Manziel, who was one of the better
tall, skinny
quarterbacks. One of the better quarterbacks. Then he obviously got money, not legal at the time, and it just derailed his whole football career. Ended up being a bust, one of the bigger busts of all time, and ended up being one of those guys who couldn't stay out of newspapers for the wrong thing. So you're going to see a lot of these kids start getting money, not know what to do with it, and it's sad to say, and I hope I'm wrong, but you're going to start seeing some guys head down the wrong path as well with all that money at that young of an age at that level.
And then the other thing is lost is, I think the fans are going to start being lost, because if it's all professional, why don't I want to watch the better ones play? Right. And if you have a situation where, let's say you're a Miami Hurricane fan, right? And your team is not going to the SEC or Big Ten. They're going to go to like the Big 12. And let's say the dust settles, it starts looking like every year they're only taking teams from the 2 power conferences. You're going to lose total interest if you're a college football fan for a team that has no shot in hell of making the playoffs.
Well, I tell you where they're going to hurt the most is the younger fans, who are going to have a harder time accessing it and enjoying it.
What's that?
That's what I think.
Say that again.
It's going to be they're going to have a harder time getting younger fans to start watching too, which will eventually kill off their viewership.
I think fantasy football is going to eat up a lot of your younger fans. I think they're going to go, oh, dude. What always got me going for college football in the fall was that my dad was so into it, right? And he kind of got me into college football. Well, the guys who are hitting that age where they're having kids and they lose interest because their favorite college football team, either A, doesn't have a hunt anymore, or a dog in the hunt anymore, or B, your team either sucks or you just get disgusted by the whole thing. They're not going to bring their kids up to watch that. They're going to get involved in other things, whether it's sports or not, because who knows, it might get to the point where folks start turning off sports altogether because the money that's made. I don't think that would happen, because I think most fans can separate it. They understand that no one complains about how much money Oprah Winfrey made over her career, right? But I know personally, I've lost interest in college football the way I used to. I'm much more big of a professional sports fan. And I never would have said that 30 years ago. 30 years ago, college football was it was my absolute favorite sport. Then it slowly started going away when the regular season no longer became an absolute must to watch because you're like, oh, well, you can lose the game, still get in the playoffs. And now Major League Baseball is so much more important to me than college football. It's not even close. And it's getting to the point now where I care more about the NFL and particularly fantasy football than I do about college football. And it sucks because you're going to lose an entire generation. Bobby's generation might be the last one that cares about college football.
Well, I remember when, it was New Year's 6 back in the day, or, the first day of bowl games. There used to be a general excitement as a fan base around college football. It didn't matter the teams. Everyone was just happy that their team made a bowl game, especially the New Year's 6. Nowadays it's like, oh, if it ain't a quote unquote playoff game, which only 4 out of a billion teams make anyways. So it just goes to show, realistically, a fan of a team like myself, who's very good, Penn State, their odds of making the playoff at the beginning of every year are slim to none as it stands now. So, it's one of those things where, yeah, I still get interested. Like last year, they were in the Outback Bowl. I'll throw it on, I'll watch it, yada, yada, yada. But at the end of the day, it doesn't feel as good as it did 10 to 20 years ago, where it's like, hey, Penn State earned it. They're in the Outback Bowl now. Now it's like, oh, I got to tune into it feels like a chore. It's like, yeah, I'm going to watch because I'm a fan, but at the end of the day, they're kind of dragging me in to watch type of thing. So even those fans of good teams like Bobby or myself, of Florida and a Penn State, you're already hindered until, further details of a college football expansion playoff. And at that point, the bowl season would be dead almost.
And strangely enough, I think the only way to fix it, as much as I love the BCS, the only way to fix it is to put more teams in and to define how you get in.
Mm-hmm.
This committee crap needs to go away. It is unfair. It's your perception. If I'm sitting in Jacksonville, Florida, or I'm sitting in Los Angeles, California, or Chicago, Illinois, Nashville, Tennessee, Boston, Massachusetts, we all have different perceptions of who we think the 4 best teams are. They need to define it and say, hey, conference champions in. And then if you go to the super conferences, maybe you figure that out. But I'm talking about in today's landscape, conference champions in, and maybe one at large, and that's it. And at least you know what you're playing with. When you go, can you imagine being a fan of your favorite baseball team and you have a really good record, but you know if you're going to get accepted and get invited to the playoffs?
Right. Like I remember last year,
The Dodgers are really good, but they've been beating up on the Rockies all year. So instead we're going to send the invitation to the Phillies. Can you imagine?
Valid or not, Cincinnati last year almost missed the playoffs at being undefeated. I know it ended up being a blowout or whatnot, but that goes to say what you were saying, Mac. It's like, could you imagine if Cincinnati went undefeated and they're like, oh yeah, there were a couple better teams at 1 or 2 losses, so you guys have to, stay home. It's just crazy. Like you said, conference champion should be in, and then handful of you got to make rules of how you get in. It can't just be a people's vote. Oh, I think the Bucks and Eagles and Cowboys were good this year, so they make the playoffs. It's like, come on, that's not how sports should work. Nor is that the professional model that they're going for.
That's a interesting point you make, because with the tournament, you're talking about how it's gotten worse over time for college football, but with NCAA basketball, they've kept it as one of the most looked forward to events in sports all year, even though the regular season is completely useless because they have a defined model of what the playoffs look like.
Yeah, and you get all fan bases coming out for March Madness.
Mm-hmm.
That's the fun of it, right? You get a crappy little school that could win it all. You get the Loyola of Chicago, not calling them crappy schools, but you get the Loyola of Chicago's that could win it all. In college football, it's like, does Loyola of Chicago even have a program? And if they do, it ain't sniffing crap.
Well, also, let's be honest, what makes March Madness so fun is the gambling, because everyone fills out a bracket, if nothing else, at their job, right? That's what makes March Madness so fun. And so because in football we'll never have this, you have 64, 68 teams in there, and they're playing every other day. There's a lot of chaos and it's a lot of fun. So in football, you're never going to have 68 teams in there, right? But if you expand it, whether it's 8 or whether it's 12 or 16, whatever, let's say we keep all the conferences the same, right? You've got to define how they get in. It cannot be. I'm sorry, but it really feels like it's a power trip for the college football folks that be the Condoleezza Rices of the world that sit in a room and tell you who they think. And I'm not picking on her. That's just one of the few names that I know that, that's on the committee. But who they think is the best college football team, the 4 best college football teams, that a lot of that has to do with your environment, where you're from. Because if I'm an ACC fan, I'm going to unfairly think that a 1-loss Clemson team should be in there because I watched them play all year. Same thing, an SEC fans are going to tell you a 2-loss SEC team should be in there, even if there's a bunch of undefeateds, because they're going to tell you, well, it's the toughest conference. Well, how do you know that? I don't know, because my grandfather told me that one time, and so I've always believed it. It's that kind of thing, right? And so it's just, they need to define it. They need to say conference champions. If you're going to get to a big conference, a big tournament, then you say the top 2 in each conference, whatever. But to do it the way they do it, 4 teams, it's garbage. You have to go back to the old BCS way where there's only 2, or you need to make it at least around 8.
Yeah, because then a lot of those big programs are still making big time bowl games, but those big time bowl games get taken away from them because then those big programs feel like they got shorted from making the tournament. They're not really up for those big time bowl games. They end up not playing up to par. So it really does affect the whole product.
And they always say it'll never happen. Don't worry about it. But it could. In theory, you could have every of the 5 major conferences. They could each have 1 undefeated team at the end of the year. And you could have an undefeated Notre Dame team at the end of the year. It could happen in theory.
Well, isn't Notre Dame looking to join the Big Ten in the future? With that book for the meantime.
It's kind of like asking what's the weather like, because every other day you get a different answer, and it's a really complex answer because of the television deals. But the point is, if this year you could get 5 undefeated teams with an undefeated Notre Dame team, you could have 6 undefeated teams and 2 of those don't get a chance to go to the playoffs. That's not fair in any shape or form. And that's why college football is garbage at this point compared to the other sports. I still watch it. I still like it. It's still fun to watch, but it's not what it used to be.
Yeah, it still dominates the Saturday schedule, but at the end of the day, like you said, I grew up, father always watching college football. That's what got me into it. At the end of the day, who knows where the sport will be in 10 to 20 years. And NFL keeps butting into the Saturday schedule a little more and a little more too. So it'll be interesting to see how those continue to twist and tie down the road as well.
But I would prefer to watch sports where I know what the rules are and I know how my favorite team can get in.
Correct. Absolutely.
Right? And this is just nonsense. I mean, it's just literal nonsense.
Pulling names from a hat, essentially.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what they're doing. The question right now is, let's just assume it's going to be Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina, and Virginia going to the SEC. And let's say you get Oregon and Washington go to the Big Ten, and if they get Notre Dame, I really think you get to the point where most fans are going to say, well, if it's not, and by then they're going to lose their names. It's not going to be SEC and Big Ten. It's going to be the Fox and the ESPN conference, right? Or the Coca-Cola conference. They'll be bidding to sell their soul on that. But you're going to get to a point where fans east of the Mississippi and the few teams that are from way out west, they're not going to legitimize any season that an Oklahoma State or a Miami may have. If they're like in a new Big 12 per se. Oh, Miami and Oklahoma State went undefeated. Yeah, but Florida only lost 3 games, and look at their schedule. That's exactly what the fans are going to do. So once again, if you don't define the invitations, everybody is eligible and nobody's eligible at the same time.
Yeah, then there's always the unwritten rule too, right? Alabama is pretty much locked in unless they get 2 losses, and even then they still could back their way in. So just kind of crazy. Realistically, you only have 3 playoff spots open to begin every year right now.
That and another
realistically,
thing is,
there's 1 spot open in college football, right? Because they're going to give it to the SEC champion, the Big Ten champion, and usually an SEC at large.
Second best team, yeah. But another concern that's brought up, I guess, with the big conferences merging is the geographical aspect of it, because you got half or like a group of the Big Ten is just on the other side of the country, completely separated from everyone else. So what does that do with TV times, and what does that do with fans, traveling and stuff? It's ridiculous. I don't like what's happening.
Rutgers against UCLA, that travel is going to be brutal. It's like, holy crap.
Wait till UCLA has to play a noon kickoff at Rutgers.
They're going to be like Could we join a different conference? Chip Kelly's going to
They're
be
going to be taking the
shivering.
red eye, stepping off the plane and going and getting dressed right there.
Chip Kelly and Greg Schiano are going
The
to
West Coast East Coast theory I've had for forever is going to be real.
That'll be a crazy spread though. You're going to get a nice, beautiful California Big Ten game on a November or December Saturday. Then you're going to get a snowy fluff ball in Rutgers.
And you're also going to get a midnight kickoff when Rutgers goes out and plays Washington.
Everyone's half asleep in the stadium.
And by that time, the Big 12 will have sold their soul, and the Hurricanes will be visiting the Hawaii Rainbows.
Another part of that geographical thing that I don't like is kind of the location of the teams in each conference. It's kind of part of their identity, you know, like the Big Ten up north, kind of rugged, all that stuff, hard football. In the South, you got SEC with all the Southern teams and stuff, and you got Pac-12, West Coast, whatnot, all that stuff. It ties into the identity of the teams, and I don't like that. You know, they're just mushing them all together.
I couldn't agree more. And then you think of Big 12, you got your Texas area, you know, and now it's just going to be like, once again, pull a name from a hat, and they could really go in any conference at the end of the day.
Well, Big 12 is just going to be like one of the runs of the conferences. It's going to be
We got a run as Steven's going to join Bobby and I for some fantasy football talk. Tones, what is your walk-off for the day, sir?
I know we talked a lot of football today. Once again, good to see Bobby. Good to be talking again with Mac and Joe. But enjoy baseball season, folks. It's more than midway through July. We got a lot of fun activities this weekend. You got the Futures game, the MLB draft, the Celebrity Softball game, Home Run Derby, All-Star game. So just enjoy it, soak it all in, and make sure you keep looking into your trade rumors for your teams, because they're coming, guys, and they're going to start hitting strong soon.
Hey, and Manfred, if you want folks to start paying attention to like the Futures game, quit putting it on Peacock. Okay.
Yeah, quit putting it on Peacock and quit putting it while MLB games are still going on at the same time.
What the hell was that about? They used to always do it either late afternoon or early Sunday evening, because MLB ends their games because the All-Star break. They don't do a Sunday night baseball. Why are they not doing a Sunday night baseball freaking Futures game?
That would be beautiful. Sunday night baseball Futures game. And another beautiful thing.
Sucked into the draft, because I don't know who this kid from freaking high school is that has been playing out in Idaho. Okay. I can read about him, but I ain't never seen the dude throw.
And odds are they ain't going to make it even. I remember Khalil Green was like the best prospect there, and he had one stint. My final word, Mac, love the hat, the stars and stripes, my friend.
Yeah, it arrived the day after I got back from going to the Braves game. That was like real fun. Son of a. All right. Well,
perfect timing.
Exactly. All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Steven's going to join us, or we're going to do some best ball and tight end talk. It's fantasy football time.
It's important to remember the value of taking time for ourselves to do the things that help us grow and explore, like learning something new. And now with the Great Courses Plus, it's never been easier to experience the joys of learning. The Great Courses Plus offers thousands of streaming videos that cover hundreds of fascinating topics, from World War II to choosing the perfect wine. You can even take a course on the U.S. government or dealing with stress and anxiety. And because the Great Courses Plus partners with world-class professors and experts, you're always receiving thoroughly vetted, high-quality content from every lecture. Plus, you can watch or listen anytime, anywhere with the Great Courses Plus app. So take a little time for you. Sign up for the Great Courses Plus today for a free month of unlimited access. Visit thegreatcoursesplus.com/radio to get started. That's thegreatcoursesplus.com/radio.
Visit Shane Company for meaningful holiday gifts. Our in-house design team creates unique styles of fine jewelry in every price range, exquisite symbols, crafted with superior standards and made to last a lifetime. We have a variety of diamond infinity designs to symbolize your everlasting love. We're also known for our natural and vibrant rubies, which represent enduring passion. Or select a stylish necklace with a stone in her favorite color or her birthstone, so you'll always be close to her heart. Our jewelry consultants in the store and online will help you find something beautiful to put under the tree. Your gift will be a symbol of your love that will be treasured forever. Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and shaneco.com. Open weekdays 10 till 8, Saturday 10 till 5, and Sunday noon till 5.
Make contact. A collective psychosis is sweeping the nation. We're in the thick of the haze craze, and Elysian is introducing an altered state of IPA. Contact Haze is a tangled chemistry of mild haze, low bitterness, and an explosion of hop aroma. This hazy IPA bursts with notes of bright raspberry, currant, citrus, guava, and passion fruit. Available in 6-pack cans in stores and at all Seattle Elysian locations. Make contact.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
At Jewelers Mutual, we're a little obsessed with jewelry. Obsessed like auctioneers with talking fast.
50, we're going to 50.
Pop stars with auto-tune. And dentists with asking questions.
How did he propose?
After they put their hands in your mouth.
Great.
Yes, we've made jewelry our obsession for over 100 years. We love it so much we named our kids Ruby, Amber, and Opal.
Venti soy latte for Opal?
At Jewelers Mutual, we insure jewelry and only jewelry, which is why people who are also obsessed with jewelry trust us with theirs.
Amazon Prime members now get free grocery delivery with a minimum order. You'll get your groceries with 2-hour delivery. So in that time, you can finally figure out where the biblioteca is, learn how to play the acoustic guitar, and I guess get a puka shell necklace. Do a makeup tutorial, but realize halfway contouring is hard, and you're beautiful just as you are. Whatever it is you're doing with your time, your shopper will be carefully picking out your favorite organic meats, produce, dairy, and snacks while providing contactless delivery to your door. Free 2-hour grocery delivery, now with Prime.
That's the sound of NyQuil Severe hard at work. NyQuil Severe is the best sleep with a cold medicine. No tossing and turning, just rest and recovery. So you're ready to take on tomorrow. For powerful relief of your worst cold and flu symptoms, try NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, best sleep with a cold medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hey, Braves fans, the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel are bringing you Braves baseball all season long. Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and I'll be bringing you Braves baseball play-by-play for the Braves fans out there, for all of Braves country. So pull up an armchair and join us for Braves country baseball, first pitch to last pitch, Tuesday and Friday nights, right here on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. Welcome back here to the Armchair Quarterback Show as we are getting set to do a best ball draft. I'm trying to talk these guys through this. So did y'all go to the site I told you to? Next? Okay. I probably should have told you as we're going to break. Hey, I'm about to text y'all. Half the time I go, damn, man, someone texted me like 6 days ago. What's going on here? All right. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. We're going to try to jump into one together. I don't know how successful we will be. We're going to try. So let me see here.
There is one currently with the top one, 6 out of 10.
I see that.
Go ahead and just jump in that free one. Ready?
I'm in.
I'm in.
I am in as well, hopefully.
Join your for free.
Yep, I see McGee.
Okay.
So that worked out a lot easier than I thought it was going to. I thought there'd be like 2 slots left or 1 slot left. We'd have to wait for the next one. So we will wait for that to come up. Until then, let's talk about the tight end rankings. I've got them calculated. It was a 4-man panel, including the 3 of us, and there was one more that chimed in. It was supposed to be 5, and I forgot to send the text until this morning. I was like, I'm not going to have Tones run over the chicken head cut off trying to calculate that. So we'll go ahead and reveal that as we get ready for. As soon as that draft starts, let me know so I'm not yapping and doing that whole thing.
Looks like it's finalizing teams.
Yeah, it's going in right now.
Okay. I'm looking at it's finalizing team. Okay, here we go.
Building draft.
I guess I'm just a second behind y'all. Looking at the tight ends ranking, there was an undisputed Travis Kelce ones across the board. Undisputed Andrews was number 2 across the board. And then that's when it gets interesting. I'm going to give y'all my top. I'm going to go ahead and just count off the top 13, the baker's dozen, so to speak. And then we'll get into why you put certain guys certain ways. This is a combination of everyone's votes together is how we got to this.
Mm-hmm.
So Pitts ended up number 3, Waller 4, Kittle 5, Hawkinson 6th, Schultz 7, which I found a little interesting. Goddard was 8th, Ertz 9th. At number 10, Knox. And at 11, Freiermuth, Komet, and then Tunyon. And that was the top 13. Let's see how this is sharing, if I'm sharing it. Which
you have the 5th pick.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Okay.
Oh, nice. I'm 1. Wait.
So, Bobby, are you 1 or are you 2?
I'm 1. I guess there's 2 Bobbies in here.
Okay. So you're
Right,
SR25M, and then Trosh, where are you at? Okay. So you Texas Trosh 8th.
I already know who I'm getting.
So this will start up in about 6 minutes, and we should be able to get a best ball in. Have y'all done any drafts, by the way? Any best ball drafts? Anything like that so far this year?
I haven't done. Go ahead, Bobby.
Okay. I haven't done any best ball drafts on this site particularly, but I've done a ton of ESPN mock drafts.
Trosh, I'm sure you've done them, right?
Nothing on Yahoo, but I have finished one DraftKings best ball, and I'm in 2 best ball drafts on Underdog right now.
I'm in. God, how many am I in? Underdog. I've done a bunch. I'm currently in. In fact,
I didn't know you're on Underdog.
In fact, I'm on the clock right now on Underdog, but hell, I got 6 hours. I like doing the slow drafts.
That's what I'm in.
I'm in currently right now. I'm in 6. No, yeah, 6 drafts. But I've done a bunch already. I took advantage of the promotion they had where you signed up, and for $100, up to $100, they would match you dollar for dollar. So when you get $200 in there, and there's $3 drafts and there's slow drafts, you end up in a lot of them. I've been doing some basebal ones too.
Are you doing the are they all in the puppy, or are you doing like the big one?
I did one puppy by mistake. I didn't realize what I'd signed up for, and the draft had already started. This is when I first signed up for Underdog. I didn't realize that there was I just didn't see puppy on there. I was aware of what puppy was, but I didn't see it when I signed up. Anyways, I'm in one of those, but the rest are anywhere between 6-man to 12-mans.
Okay, so they're all the smaller ones.
Yeah, I've done a couple of the best ball manias, right?
Yeah.
The $25 entry fee, and you go in and you can essentially you draft against other folks, but they're going to compare your scores at the end of the year.
It's almost like DraftKings set up for best ball.
Right.
At the end of this,
the thing I don't like is their options sometimes is not what I want. Like sometimes I want a $5 10-man long draft.
No, I agree.
And it seems like a lot of the $5 ones are all quick. And then sometimes you go in there and you can't find. That's the only thing I don't like about. But I'm hoping as the season gets closer, because this is the first year I've done Underdog. I'd been on the site last year, but I don't think I ever played. I found out the hard way that I'd been on the site before, because I went to sign up and they go, "You already have an account." I was like, "I do?" Well, let me just guess. I had to guess like 6 passwords. I finally got it right. But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with them. I like the long ones, it's funny. I like the long drafts, but then I always end up drafting within like 30 seconds of them telling me I have a pick.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he's there. Wham, let's go. And then some of these, man, these guys wait till like 5-6 hours in. I don't know if they're playing the long game because they're wanting to see what's happening in the world of injuries and whatnot. But I'm like, dude, if you sign up now, play now. Come on, let's go.
I have had a few where it didn't give me a notification that was on the clock. So I just had to go in and I was like, oh, you have 20 minutes left.
I do constantly open mine up ever since I updated my iPhone. It does not give me the notification. I'm sure I have to go in there and do it. I just haven't had time. I updated a couple of days ago and now I'm going in and looking at it. The app will let you know though. It'll put like a 1 on there, but anyways, we're going here in a couple of minutes. Bobby, any way you don't take Jonathan Taylor? Do you have someone else in mind?
No chance. I mean, there's a chance that he gets hurt or something. But that's really the only way I see him not being running back 1 this year. I think it should be a no-brainer for pretty much every league.
It's always funny though. Every year, one guy comes out of nowhere to like either be the number 1 or he's top 2 or 3, and then so in other words, Taylor won't be the number 1 next year for whatever reason.
Probably not. No.
But yeah, I mean, I would take Taylor too. All these drafts I've been in, Trosh, I'm guessing I've been in around 25 to 30 of them.
Mm-hmm.
I've had the number 1 pick once.
Oof.
You damn right I took Jonathan Taylor. When I was like, man, I have too many of them where the draft picks are similar, where I'm picking like 9th or 11th or whatever. And I'm like, all right, well, I don't want every one of my teams to look exactly alike, because either A, you're going to have a really good year, or B, your team's going to, your best balls are going to suck.
Yeah.
For folks who are not familiar with best ball, Steven, why don't you drop us knowledge as far as what best ball fantasy is?
So the best thing about best ball, no pun intended, is that you really don't have to set your lineup. So you go ahead, you draft your team, and then that's kind of it. So every week, whatever site you're on, they will automatically take the best score from your lineup. So like it'll plug in the best quarterback, running back, wide receiver, etc., to make a full lineup. And then that's your score every single week. And so then it just kind of totals it at the end of the season. Whoever has the most points wins the league. No, there's no waivers, no trades, not even setting your lineup. I mean, that's the best thing for me. You just kind of draft your team and there you go. The main difference in terms of strategy here, you aren't necessarily drafting for a consistent week-to-week person all the time. You're looking for those types of players that can have those, like as a receiver, 200-yard, three touchdown games, as a running back, those 4 touchdown games, 250 yards. So that like you're trying to get those ceiling games and really trying to keep yourself floating all season.
Okay, so it has begun, and Bobby took Jonathan Taylor. I had to turn my sound off, because if not, it's going to blare through the speaker.
Yeah.
So if I'm not paying attention, because I'm trying to do 6 things at once, so let me know my pick is up. If you see me looking to my right, that means I'm looking at the mothership. I'm looking at the screen. So it comes to me. Man, I guess this doesn't matter because I'm not playing with money on this one. I'm going to go ahead and take Christian McCaffrey, just because I think it's the smart move, because when he is healthy, he can be the best ball on that week. I'm a little leery of him in year-long fantasy football because of his injury history. But we all know when he's healthy, I mean, there's no one better.
I tell you, you'll never talk to someone about fantasy who's more anti-Christian McCaffrey than me. I refuse to pick him in any of the top maybe 15 picks or so. He's played 10 games in the last 2 years. I can't justify it.
I don't mean to cut you off, but Trosh has the 8th pick. What you looking at, Trosh?
So, I mean, I'm down here to either Najee Harris or Joe Mixon. I believe both running backs are going to most likely end up top 5. I'm going to go Joe Mixon here. I've already drafted Najee Harris in 2 of my other best ball leagues, so I kind of want to differentiate, get a little more exposure. I haven't gotten Joe Mixon yet. Those 2 are pretty much 1A, 1B for me. Like if you're picking from this spot, I just want Mixon here to get some different exposure. And I'm actually back on the clock again. See, now things are really interesting. Most of the draft, almost every draft, I've been picking from this 8-9 spot, and I've gone CD Lamb here. I still do think that is the pick. I'll let y'all talk about Devontae Adams. He's the other person I'm deciding between. I'm going to go CeeDee Lamb here, but how are y'all feeling about Devontae in Las Vegas?
I gotta feel like his boy's gonna look for him every time.
No, I agree, but I mean, it's Devontae never had that other, like you said, like secondary, like other power receiving option like they have in Darren Waller there in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Could that possibly help him?
Oh no, it'll definitely help him, but we're used to seeing Devontae with a 35% target share. Are we going to be seeing that?
So it's my pick. I'm gonna
go
go
ahead.
Javonte Williams, so that I have my 2 running backs set. I don't have a lot of shares of Javonte Williams, so I might as well grab him. My theory behind him is that he's going to have a lot easier time to get up and down the field because you're not going to be able to triple team him when you've got, I mean, let's not forget about the fact that entire offense is pretty loaded with talent.
That is true.
And randomly, he's probably be a wide receiver 3 or 4. They signed Keelan Cole in the offseason, and that's just another vertical threat to put in the lineup.
Actually, Bobby, you're up for back-to-back.
Yep. I'm going Mike Evans here. Not who I was looking for. I was hoping Aaron Jones would make the fall to 20, but he's a consistent wide receiver, consistently 1,000 yards a year. Next up, he's not going to be playing with as good of a deep passer, but I love Tyreek Hill. I mean, he's still one of the most talented receivers in the league. You got to take the risk on him there. 21.
Yeah, I mean, Miami's going to – they're going to be creative and find ways to get him the ball. It's
especially
not
like McDaniel.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to have to – he's not going to have to rely on heavy volume to get his yards because, I mean, he's going to be put in space. He's going to have plenty of times for those chunk yardage plays. It's going to have time, plenty of opportunity to score on just in general, even from the – I can see him a lot. Not in the full Debo role, but quasi. All right, so Dave, who you going here?
All right, so it's my pick, and God, all good. All right, here we go. I've got my 2 running backs. I don't have a receiver. I think I'm gonna go a little wild here and grab Pittman. Because
I like that.
I get how good Higgins is, but he's also the really talented wide receiving core, and I'm worried about the weeks where he doesn't perform. Pittman should be the guy. And he was just escalating towards the end of the season. So
I definitely love that. Pittman would have been my pick if he was there.
And you got Lamb and Mixon, and then these are the best available.
I'm gonna have to go Keenan Allen here just to get a little bit of consistency. Yeah, I mean, like my top 2 picks for this spot, if they were Pittman and Mark Andrews. Yeah, it's a little tough to have to settle for Keenan Allen there, but could have been a lot worse.
Now, I'm planning on setting up a best ball draft for us here.
Underdog.
On Underdog. And Steven, I know you already told me that you want to play. Bobby, let me know if you want to sign up too. We'll probably do it for like $25. Okay. And it'll be a slow draft. That way we don't have to set a time.
Gotcha.
We're still doing the fantasy trophy draft.
George, who are you looking at?
What the hell? I kept pressing DJ Moore, but it wouldn't switch over to him. So I ended up with Deontay Johnson. I am perfectly fine taking Deontay Johnson. I was going to go a little bit against the grain there and take DJ Moore. I mean, he's been one of the most productive receivers in the first 3 or 4 years in their career in NFL history. And I mean, it's tough to say, but Baker may be one of the best quarterbacks he's played with in recent years.
So I've got Pittman, I've got McCaffrey and Williams. I'm going to go wide receiver again, and I'm going to take Jalen Waddle. I feel like I'm sorry, do what?
I was saying a lot of running backs available right now. top.
Yeah, but I've got McCaffrey and Javonte Williams, and I don't want to get left out of the elite wide receiver tree because those guys are going to start going by the wayside. You do need 3 wide receivers in best ball. It's not your traditional 2 and 1 flex. It's typically 3 wide receivers and 1 flex.
And that is something I think that may be unique to Yahoo. I know Underdog only does 2 receivers, I believe.
Oh, they're 3 as well.
Oh, they are? Okay.
They're 3 and a flex.
Got it.
They don't set it up like Yahoo does, where you can definitely see what you're doing. With Underdog, you'll just see the players you picked by the positions. But if you read the fine print, it says it's 2 running backs, 3 receivers, and a flex, and a tight end with just 1 quarterback. I don't think they do super flex best ball, but maybe they do, and I just haven't seen it.
I
take a little bit of a risk here.
You're up, Bobby. Go ahead.
Yeah. My next 2 picks, I went with Breece Hall and Kyle Pitts. Breece Hall's a little bit of a risky one, especially with Montgomery and like Josh Jacobs on the board. But Montgomery, he was very inconsistent last year. He obviously was hurt for a little bit too. And, Hall, although it's a little bit more risk because he's a rookie, I think he has a bit more upside than Jacobs. And then Pitts, obviously, top 3 tight end. I think he's kind of elevated himself into the top tier of tight ends this year. So I'm fine picking him there. I have no problem with that.
Looking at who's left now, I'm going to go ahead and grab my tight end. And because I've got 2 running backs, I've got 2 wide receivers, I'm going to grab George Kittle, who should be the safety valve for whoever's playing quarterback. We assume it's Trey Lance, but you never know with Shanahan. I would think Kittle's going to have a bounce back here. And when he's healthy, man, that guy's a monster.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the fact you see the red cross by his name. Like, that scares the hell out of you. It's like already he's banged up.
All right, so here I'm very tempted to go Justin Herbert to get that sack with Keenan Allen. I think I'm going to wait a little bit, at least for this pick. I think I'm going to fill my running back hole and get A.J. Dillon. I really think he's going to have a big and consistent role in this offense with no Devontae Adams.
Do you have Brown as well? I mean, Jones? No. Okay. Is that something you'd be willing to do on a best ball? If you have Aaron Jones, would you go ahead and grab Dillon? Because Dillon goes pretty high, so you have to kind of use 2 running back picks pretty close together to get them both. Would you want them both, or do you just want one or the other, and it's best ball, and if they have a good week, great. If not, screw it.
I'm going to say one or the other just because it's not like they're going to be either Aaron Jones or AJ Dillon each week. They're both going to have a big role a big role each week, and I can see them both being consistent. If I'm spending 2 high picks, I don't want to kind of split the production. I mean, like, that was one of the reasons I didn't go T Higgins with one of my high picks. I didn't want to contradict the Joe Mixon pick. All right, so here I got my 2 running backs. I'm going to wait a little bit more on quarterback, so I'm going to go a wide receiver here. Really not. So top few are Robinson, DK Metcalf, Judy Bateman. I'm going to go a little bit against the grain here. One of the most consistent receivers in recent years, Brandon Cooks.
Brandon Cooks.
I respect it.
Everyone else has a question mark. Like, Amari Cooper is going to have Jacoby Brissett for a while.
Here's the big question: do I grab a receiver like Allen Robinson, who's got a good quarterback, or do I grab a great receiver who has no quarterback in Metcalf or Bateman? I'm going to go with Allen Robinson.
I was leaning Bateman there, honestly.
I'm looking at Allen Robinson. Look, Allen Robinson is a top 12 fantasy receiver the last few years, even when he's had garbage at quarterback. So,
no, I love Allen Robinson as a player. It's just at that ADP, how much of a discount are you getting for how bad he was last year?
All right.
Well, I think he's being elevated because of where he's at now, and he really is the number 2 option now.
Let's see it, Bobby.
Signed.
All right, so I'm gonna go a little bit down the board here to get Hollywood Brown. I think he's gonna have a big year with Kyler. I don't want to be too much of a Lamar hater right now. I don't want to get into all that, but I don't think he's a great deep passer, and that's kind of Hollywood's forte. And that connection just wasn't there. I think him and Kyler are going to do great together. So that leads me into my next pick. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my quarterback, Kyler Murray, fill out my starting lineup other than the flex.
I actually do like that because if you're going to take one, you might as well take the other. And if they're both available like that, it's a great stack on best ball.
Yeah.
For folks who don't really understand that, Steven, if you could describe that real quick, because I'm about to make my best pick. If you, my next pick, if you see my team right here, I'm set at receiver, running back, tight end. I still need a flex and a quarterback in depth. Steven, go ahead.
All right. So the concept of stacking is that you take a quarterback with either one of their wide receivers or their tight ends to kind of double up on the points. If a receiver is getting a touchdown, their quarterback is also getting that touchdown. So it's kind of a way to just kind of stack your points and kind of reduce the variance or the risks. I mean, you're focusing more on one offense than two individual players on two individual teams, two separate outcomes. And that's actually going to bring me to my next pick. I'm thinking I'm going to go with running back here. It scares me to target. No, I'm going to go for Dalton Schultz. I need a tight end. I'm actually really high on him. He came in at number 4 on my my preseason ranking. I think he's gonna, like, especially with Amari Cooper going, Ezekiel Elliott's another year older. He's really going to. He cemented his place last year as a big part of this offense with his 8 touchdowns, but I think he's willing to take the next step forward.
I took Amon St. Brown, by the way, on my last one.
Bold move.
Mainly because, look, I won't be doing a lot of stacking with the receivers that I have. I don't necessarily want their quarterbacks, but I could go Stafford, but whatever. And I wasn't concerned with the quarterback position at this point. And to me, St. Brown has the best upside because until Jameson Williams gets healthy, which could be deep into the season, his only targets that he has to worry about at the receivers point would be DJ Shark coming in and stealing from him. So I think St. Brown was one of the most consistent guys down the stretch last year, and I don't see why it would change. I know some people are poo-pooing on him, but I don't necessarily buy it. I'm going to go running back now. And since he's there, I didn't really plan this, but I'm going to grab Melvin Gordon since I already have Williams. And then that assures me that I've got the Denver running back. And if one gets banged up and doesn't play one week, the other one should go off.
Yeah. And then for my previous pick, I went Dak Prescott to kind of complete that stack with CeeDee Lamb and Dalton Schultz.
I wish these the clock was longer than 30 seconds on these things.
I know.
Because I'm sure they don't care about we have time to talk on our fantasy football show, but I'm like, dude, this is lightning fast.
All right, so I'm going to double up on running back here. 2 of my biggest sleepers personally. I'm going to grab Rashad Penny for 1. He'll probably be the number 1 running back in Seattle. I think they'll split between Kenneth Walker, but I think Penny will get the edge for the most part. And he ended the year so strong. And obviously with Chris Carson, he's probably not going to be back. And then my other running back, another sleeper I have, Chase Edmonds. The only running back that he's really competing with is Raheem Mostert, but we all know that he can't seem to stay healthy. So I think Edmonds will get a lot of opportunity next year, and I think he's going to take advantage of it. I watched him in Arizona. I loved him. I hate that we lost him. He was actually my favorite running back on the team last year. So I think he'll do big things.
I'm looking at quarterback now, and
Russell Wilson.
I know, and in theory, I think I'd rather just go get some depth. The wide receiver,
I'd wait on Tua.
So we got 11, 7, and 14, and then I've also got 6. I'm looking at bye weeks at this point because you can't pick up and drop, just so folks know. I'm going to go ahead and go with Hunter Renfrow, and kind of go from there. See what my quarterback situation. Well, quarterback situation is not going to be pretty, but I might try to just throw some Hail Marys.
Well, Russell Wilson was just taken, so you don't have to worry about that.
I don't really like him as a fantasy quarterback this year. I really don't. And it wasn't going to incentivize me just because I have their running backs, because it's not like Gordon and Williams are going to catch a lot of swing passes out of the backfield.
Yeah.
I mean, he's okay in year long, but I don't know. Best ball, I want a guy. I would have taken Trey Lance before I took him. Let me put it that way.
That's
Trey
okay.
Lance over Russell Wilson. You said Trey over Russell.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah.
I mean, the rushing upside definitely is there. I mean, we saw that with Jalen Hurts
Best ball.
last year. You don't have to be a good real life quarterback to be a good fantasy quarterback.
Right. I'm looking more for best ball. I'm not looking at, regular season. Like what you see me doing here, don't expect me to do this in regular season. I'm about to make a pick that everyone's going to be a head scratcher, and I'll explain it after I do it. But you won't see me do this in year long, where you're building depth and you're building a roster and you're going this and that. But let me get back onto all players. I got sidetracked. It looks like Kenneth Walker. A lot of people are drafting him high, but it doesn't look like he's going to be the starter, is he?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be Penny, and I mean that should have been an assumption going into the season.
Travis Homer and DJ Dallas on the depth chart for third down. They thought Walker was coming in to do that.
I mean, Walker was never really a big receiver, and there he goes. That's going to be an interesting thing. We can definitely get more into that when we hit running backs. All right, so I'm in an interesting position here. Do I go Adam Thielen, Ramondre Stevenson, or I got Alan Lazard staring me in the face?
What do your bye weeks look like? Because that's what I'd be looking at. You got 9, 8, 8, 9. You definitely want to take a receiver that doesn't have a 9. Okay.
Alan Lazard.
So I'm going to do something really dopey. It's almost my pick. And
come on, don't pick Gronk.
Tua. I'm going to couple Tua with.
No, that was exactly what I was going to say to do before.
With well, I figured he would fall. I didn't want to take the chance of doing him one more time, but I'm going to take Tua because I have him have Waddle, and I think Tua's season will be like this. But on the weeks that he just goes off, and I don't worry about getting my staple quarterback later in the draft, but I'm going to be looking for some big time hits later on. Still some good receivers out there. What about running backs? What do we have left in that situation?
Not much.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and grab Adam Thielen here just for some depth. I don't think he'll have a crazy year or anything special, but I think he'll be a solid depth guy who can come in and fill in for some guys on bye weeks. And given that I only have 3 receivers, I think right now I'll need some. Let's go down the list. Let's see. I think it looks like someone took the article. I'm gonna go. I'll draft Robert Woods here. I think he's going to have a better year than people anticipate. I don't know how good I feel about Traylon Burks right now. There hasn't been a lot of positives about him. I think Woods could end up being a wide receiver 1, the main target for Tannehill this year. So I think, given that opportunity, I think he'll be good and well worth.
I don't think he's going to fall to me. But if he's there, I'm going to take Cook with the next pick.
James Cook, yeah.
Because I'm looking. Let me double check on his bio. 8, 7, 9. I'm thinking James Cook will start off the season a little slow, battling with Singletary. He did fall to me. When it gets towards the end, Cook is a guy that catches out of the backfield, and he should have a good role. We've seen what Singletary is. He's nothing. Now, maybe it's because the Bills can't block, and we're going to find out that Cook is a bust in the draft too, but I don't mind taking him on a best ball.
Man, the choices here are just ugly.
Gronk. I don't care what he says. He's coming back.
I mean, I'm I'm gonna bite the bullet here and just go Trey Lance. I've got a quarterback, but doesn't hurt to have two just in case. We saw what happened with Dak last year. Or
best ball the other day. It was one of those $3.30 things. I was trying to do two things at once, and I was like, "Sweet, I'll grab this." I don't even remember the quarterbacks now, but I was like, "Sweet, I'll grab my second quarterback." Wait till the end, grab them, draft fans. I go, "Son of a!" Same bye week. And for folks who've never done best ball, there are no pickups.
Yep.
Wherever you draft, and I really feel like these rosters are not deep enough, but it is what it is. Really feel
strategy I kind of like doing around bye weeks. I like to stack like a ton of guys on my roster if I can. I won't go out of my way to draft someone with a specific bye week, but if I can build a roster that has half of it all on one bye week, I can tank a week and have my full roster for most of the year. Though that's kind of my mindset sometimes. That's what I'm doing right now, actually, with week 11. I have like half my team on week 11 bye.
Yeah, week 9 for me.
So I see, Steven, was it you that took a Gesicki already?
Nope.
I was wanting him as my backup tight end just because I had Tua, but no such luck there. It looks like he already went.
I don't want any of these people on my screen.
I could see a couple I like, maybe 3.
There's some good handcuffs available. Who'd you take? MVS?
I got he's really like out of this list. Like, I mean, there's Christian Kirk there maybe, but I was going for a big play receiver. He's getting rave reviews out of KC camp so far.
I'm gonna go ahead and grab Treylon Burks.
Homer.
I mean, somebody's got to be the damn number one receiver there, and
I think it's gonna be Robert
Austin Hooper.
Bobby Trees, though, is Bobby gonna be at full speed at opening day?
I think so.
That's the tough call.
They're gonna end up with like
may not be, but I think he'll work his way into that wide receiver one role as the season progresses.
You're gonna see like a signing of Mohamed Sanu or something. It's
they're gonna have the Westbrook Akina guy out there.
Can you run block? Sweet. All right, come on. Get Hines Ward out of retirement. Conversely, all year long, you're going to see everyone complaining about the fact that it'll be hashtag free AJ Brown, and so he'll be sitting out there wide open, and Hurts will be taking off running.
Let's see, is this guy going to end up?
Hurts is a guy I like a lot in best ball. I've got a lot of shares of him.
Oh, I grow.
He's like that. You don't even have to think about it. You have him in best ball. It's like, well, the best one will rise to the top that week.
All right. Well, I wasn't expecting this guy to fall to my pick. I was planning on taking. I'll just say it. I was planning on taking Christian Kirk here, but Drake London fell. Obviously he's a rookie, so it's no guarantee that he'll play well. But why not? Why not take the risk on him? You could have a solid year. I think he'll be a good end zone threat for that. Oh, and now I'm back up. That's right. Let's see. I'm going to take Darrell Henderson here. I know he's going to be running back 2, at least for X amount of time. But I think I don't like Akers too much. I don't think he's. I know you're an FSU fan, Mac, but I'm just not very. He did not play well in the playoffs, and it could be because of the ACL tear he was recovering from. But he had a lot of costly fumbles.
It was an Achilles tear.
But with the 2-point-something yards per carry and the costly fumbles, I don't know how long he's going to cling onto that running back 1 spot. So I think Henderson could be a guy who gets a little bit more love on that offense than people expect.
I'm gonna go ahead and get my backup tight end in Irv Smith. He doesn't have the same bye week as Kittle. There's not a whole lot out there that's left that I'm like, man, I've got to get this guy. So I didn't worry that he was 20 spots down on the ADP. I went and got the guy that I wanted to even out with Kittle.
Actually, I had him pretty high in my tight end rankings compared to most people, I'd say, because I didn't hear his name. I think he has a lot of potential this year. I could see him being a red zone threat with the Vikings offense. And he didn't, obviously, he was coming off an ACL tear that he had in the preseason or camp or whatever it was last year. So nobody really gets to see him, but I think he'll have a solid year.
Yeah, you had him
of a tight end
14th
too.
on your list, which I think is about where I had him. I don't think he didn't make the list because I don't think Steven had him on there, and I know Doug didn't. So
Which one?
Irv Smith.
Yeah, I'm just he's one of those guys that like everyone's been like, this guy's gonna break out, this guy's gonna break out, and he hasn't even like broke. He hasn't done anything worthy of like it's a love-hate. I wanted him to be successful so much, but I'm not drafting him. He's just got to be I've got to see it to believe it.
That's fair. I think drafting him to stash him as your tight end two is a bad idea, especially if you have a good enough tight end one where you don't have to worry about, your tight end two immediately being successful. So I think him being a backup is a solid spot in fantasy.
Man, this is just not. Yeah, we're hitting the bottom of the barrel here.
Not a good looking board.
So I'm going receiver. I'm going a little bit down the board. I'm going to go Rondale Moore.
There we go.
We're down to we have 2 picks left. Yeah, 3 picks left. So, I mean, there's really not many higher ceiling players than him right there on a week-to-week basis.
Is Michael Gallup a long-term injury?
At least, no, I don't think it's super long-term. I only think it's a few weeks, if that.
I don't understand why he hasn't. I don't know. I'm going to take a swing for him. He'll probably, most of his weeks will suck, but he might get that 2 or 3 weeks that is worth having him or Burks or Renfro on your roster.
Only reason I didn't go Gallup is because I had like 6 other Cowboys.
Do you have Dak, right?
I have Dak, Lamb, Schultz, and Tony Pollard.
All right. There we go. Let me get some running back. Actually,
struggling. Here's garbage at the running back position.
4 bench spots available. Okay, let's check quarterback here. No, I'm gonna go Jameis. Wait, let me make sure to buy that up. I won't make that mistake.
Jameis.
Yeah, we'll go Jameis. I could see him having a bounce back here. I think he'll put up numbers. He may not be terribly good in the real world, but in fantasy, I think he could be solid. And then let's look at tight ends. I'm gonna put all back, getting a backup tight end. Instead, I'm gonna dip down to the 160s here. I'm gonna go Christian Watson, another rookie receiver. I think he has a lot of upside. I think Aaron Rodgers could look to him quite a bit next year. Obviously, Allen Lazard's probably going to be looked at as the number 1 guy next year, but I think Watson has potential to put up some solid numbers and definitely be worth a 15th round pick.
So it's coming to me. I've got Tua Tagovailoa. I better get to stepping when it comes to receivers. Quarterbacks. I was going to take Jameis, but you grabbed him. And I waited too long. The other quarterback I was thinking about was taking Matty Ice because I have Pittman.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go ahead and take Goff because I have St. Brown.
Okay.
And this might be one of the few times I do this. I might go with 3 quarterbacks because they're all going to be so bad. I just hope the best one sticks each week. Because there's not a whole lot out there on the whole running back and quarterback charts left. So I'm not missing a whole lot if I don't draft another running back or receiver.
You mentioned backups because I forgot I didn't have a backup tight end. So that's going to be an easy one for me. I'm going to go number 15 on my rankings, Austin Hooper.
Hooper.
I think he's going to play a big role out there in Tennessee, especially with no AJ Brown there in the red zone.
The one thing about Tennessee is they use the tight end in the red zone. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
He may not get a lot of yards, but hell, he might score 7-8 touchdowns this year.
Well, I mean, their number 1 tight end is Treylon Burks. I mean, once he's healthy, they'll be good.
Well, but he's a receiver. He's a slot receiver.
It was a joke. He's just so big and not even like height wise. He's pretty.
I just worry about that son of a gun and they draft him, and then all of a sudden we find out, oh, by the way, he has asthma. I'm like, what? The number one first round draft pick with a guy who can't breathe. This might be a situation.
All right, my second to last pick, I went DJ Chark. I think, especially with JMO out, he's going to have some deep downfield opportunities, big play potential.
If he's there, I'm going to grab Mark Ingram.
Is he even playing?
Yeah, he's playing for the Saints. And he'll probably get goal line touches until Kamara comes back. Because remember, Kamara is going to be suspended, and I think it's going to be a hefty suspension.
I've been hearing 6 games.
That's my guess. Yeah.
What do you do exactly that was worthy of 6 games?
He freaking punched some guy in a bar or whatever. Anyways, the dude's freaking eyeball come out of his socket.
Oh.
And so yeah,
the day before the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
I could see it.
Didn't they release him from jail to go play in the Pro Bowl?
Yeah, it was either the Pro Bowl or maybe it was an actual game, but yeah, they let him.
No, it was definitely the
Pro Bowl in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then it was the Pro Bowl. So my last pick, I'm gonna have to pick another crappy quarterback and just try to stick something up against the wall and hope it pans out. I've got 2 lower tier quarterbacks, but you're not looking for a great season from any of them. You're looking for a great week from time to time.
Golf. I'm gonna go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my backup tight end here. I don't have a whole lot of concerns. I got a top 3 one already, so it's not a big pressing need. And then I'm gonna dive down the list here. I saw someone a minute ago. I forget his name. Jahan Dotson. That's right, way down there. I think he'll have the decent year as a wide receiver too. Another rookie. I've gone heavy on the rookie wide receivers, so I'm hoping he just puts up decent numbers. I'm not really expecting much. I mean, he's a last round pick, so whatever happens, happens.
JMO's still out there. You can go get him, Dave.
Who?
Jameson Williams for a late season hammer. I'm really feeling he has that Odell potential to come in week 10, week 9, week 10 and just destroy the league.
Yeah, that's a solid pick.
It's worth a shot when you got Jared Goff.
That was my point.
Yeah. I assumed he was gone. I was going to go Pickens as just a flyer on a quarterback that could go off.
Okay, yeah, Pickett, yeah.
But I think I'm going to go Jameson Williams because it gives me, Golf and Tua, hopefully one of them has an okay game every week. That's what you're hoping for. As long as you get points from the rest of it, you'll be okay. So I guess I'll go ahead and take Williams. My backup plan was to take Pickens as a third quarterback. I don't really like having 3 quarterbacks in a best ball.
And that's also assuming Pickett even starts. Trubisky may just come out firing.
Yeah, but I guess I should go back into that real quick so that we can look at our teams. So looking at the teams,
about to make my last pick.
Bobby. I'm sorry. I thought you already made it.
No, I'm making it right now. I'm going Josh Palmer. He's right now looking like the wide receiver 3 out in Los Angeles, and that is a very coveted role. To get him in the 17th round is oof.
Yeah, especially for
Gronk went. There we go. Finally.
The beauty is not having to care about who are you going to start every week.
Palmer's going to have, in that offense, he even had him last year. He's going to have those 2 or 3 boom weeks this season.
So looking at your team, Steven, go ahead and rattle it off as far as what you're thinking and how you think your team did.
So, I'm not too disappointed with my team. So my quarterback and my stack, I went with Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb. I also got Dalton Schultz as my tight end. My other 2 receivers are Keenan Allen, Deontay Johnson. My 2 running backs, Joe Mixon and A.J. Dillon. I love the Mixon pick. I really think I could have done a little bit better than Dillon, but my wide receivers are stacked, so I'm really not too upset. I got Brandon Cooks in my flex. Got Tony Pollard in there for some running back depth. I think he'll have some potential this year. Rest of my roster, got Allen Lazard, Trey Lance, MVS, Gus Edwards, Rondale Moore, Austin Hooper, DJ Chark, and Joshua Palmer.
Now this is
for me. I'm a very wide receiver heavy person in best ball.
Now this is a 10-team league, not a 12. So that's why guys like Jameson Williams and whatnot were there at the end. Bobby, what say you on your team?
All right, so starting up at the top of quarterback, we got Kyler Murray, mostly because I could stack him with Hollywood, but also because I'm a homer. Mike Evans, I think he's a solid, consistent receiver. He's had like 1,000 yards in the past however many years. It's been a while. Tyreek Hill, Hollywood, as I mentioned. And then my running backs, I got Jonathan Taylor, running back 1 from last year. And then Breece Hall, the rookie with some upside. Tight end, Kyle Pitts, I think he's going to have a huge year. And then in my flex, I got Rashad Penny or Chase Edmonds. I think they're going to be kind of going back and forth for that spot. And then on the bench, Adam Thielen, Robert Woods, Drake London, Darrell Henderson, Jameis Winston, Christian Watson, Hunter Henry, and Jahan Dotson. A bunch of rookie receivers there and some guys I think they'll have a potentially good year and some sleepers. Yeah.
So normally if I'm drafting McCaffrey, I'm caring about if I get his handcuff in Chuba Hubbard, but I don't care about that in best ball because Hubbard, when he filled in, didn't do that great last year. He was okay. You're not looking to just get any points. You want the best points available for each. So when I looked at my team and like I said, I don't pick Christian McCaffrey much, but what did he fall to? 4th or 5th?
Yeah, 5th.
You got to take advantage of that because you get the rare opportunity to possibly have a good combination. So I've got McCaffrey. How many teams are going to have McCaffrey and Pittman and Waddle the same week, right? I think they could go off. I like Kittle, Robinson. I'm up in the air with him. I don't really know, but the fact that you got St. Brown, and then you can also, any given week, Gordon or Renfro or even Treylon maybe could slide into the flex. I like that. My quarterback sucks, but I do like the fact that I've got Tua, who I can couple with Waddle, and I've got Jared Goff, who I can couple with either St. Brown or Williams on any given Sunday. But I like my team all together as far as the depth, except when it comes to quarterback. I wish there would have been one more slot available in this draft so that I could have had a third quarterback, even if it was a crapster, even if it was like Daniel Jones or Mac Jones, or just someone who gives you the opportunity to get that third. If I have a stud like y'all have at quarterback, I don't worry about having a third quarterback. I'm like, whatever, man. I'm gonna roll with those two. If one of them gets injured for the season, then it is what it is. Let's go ahead and this. All right, it's cool. So all in all, pretty good draft. We'll do this again next week. The best balls were coming up on the end of this. Anything that y'all didn't like about the tight end rankings? I'll rattle them off real quick. It's Kelsey, Andrews, Pitts, Waller, Kittle is the top 5. And then 6 through 10 is Hawkinson, Schultz, Goddard, Ertz, and Knox. And then Freiermuth, Komet, and Tunyon. Steven, give me one guy you think is way too high and one guy you think is way too low on that list.
Way too high, Dallas Goedert. I've got him a number 11 in my rankings. That is not a high volume pass offense. Now they're bringing in AJ Brown on top of that Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith connection developing one more year. I don't think he's going to be a top 10 tight end, and there's plenty more that are going to be in the picture. So that was the way too high, way too low. I mentioned it before. Dalton Schultz. I really think he's going to take the next step this year. I've got him at number 4, and that's the top of my tier.
Stay healthy, right?
Yeah,
I think that's the only thing that slowed him down.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, like, there was a lot of concerns last year about Blake Jarwin coming back. He was originally thought to be the guy that was going to take over that tight end role in Dallas, but it is the Dalton Schultz show. If he's healthy, I think he's going to explode. I've got him as the top tight end in my tier 2.
All All right. And Bobby, same question. Too high, too low for you?
Too high. I would say my list is pretty on par with the thing, but I'll say Dawson Knox because there were a couple injuries he had last year for one. And then a lot of times he was just very inconsistent. He wasn't used a lot in that offense in some games. But there were some games where he'd go crazy and just have a ridiculously high score. But, you can't bank on having that every week, and you can't afford to take weeks where he has 2 or 3 points just to get those big ones. And then I guess too low, one that wasn't even on the list. I'll say Irv Smith. I just like his potential coming off the ACL tear last year. He didn't get a chance to really show what he could do. He's going to be playing in a new offense next year with Kevin O'Connell taking over for Mike Zimmer. So I think he could have a much bigger year than people expect. So I'll say he's the one who's too low. And then one other thing I want to mention is that I think last year we had two of the top tier tight ends being Kelsey and Andrews. I think Pitts is going to work his way into that conversation this year. Mariota loves his tight ends. I think he's going to get a lot more than one touchdown next year. I expect him to have a huge year.
I think my too high is going to be Komet. And I know he's only number 12, but I feel like there were a couple of guys that were left off this. Steven mentioned Hooper earlier, Noah Fant. I just feel like that Komet is in an offense that we don't have a definition of. Sounds like I wouldn't pick him up later in the year if he's doing well, but man, I don't want to draft him because first of all, I only ever draft one tight end, but let's say you're in a 12-man league. I'm not drafting him. There's too many other options. I'd rather take a flyer on Tunyon. And as far as too low, I'm on board with the Schultz thing, but I will throw a different name in there. I'm not convinced 100% that Kyle Pitts belongs over Waller because I feel like Waller is tried and true. You know what you're going to get from him. I think things are going to open up for him because Devontae Adams is going to be there. And I'm really leery of what that quarterback situation in Atlanta is going to look like. Because you got a guy coming from Cincinnati who all they ever talked about was, I don't know, is he an NFL quarterback or not? And then if it's not him, it's Marcus Mariota.
I think Mariota is probably going to be the one starting next year. No, that's the expectation.
Sure.
I think if Mariota starts, I could see Pitts even having a more productive year than he did last year because Mariota, he loved his tight ends when he was in Tennessee. So I don't think that's going to change. Eventually,
they'll bench Mariota for the kid because they drafted him high enough to warrant that. And when you get halfway through the season and you go from, him out there averaging 60 to 80 yards a game, maybe a touchdown, to did he even play? What the hell happened? Because Ritter's out there freaking running around in a circle and this is nothing like playing in the MAC or whatever the hell they play. So I don't know. But enjoyed it and looking forward to next week. Next week will be quarterback rankings and we'll probably do another best ball. And then we'll start working in some other kinds of drafts as well. But we're just trying to get warmed up here as we are. I think I saw yesterday it's 43 days until college football season begins. So now 42. I believe that sets where that's the very early season. I don't know if Miami or Florida are playing in that first week, but August 27th. Florida State's got a weird time. They're playing Duquesne. They're playing like 5 p.m. on PBS Plus or something. I don't know if it's going to be televised, but anyways, 49 days from actual college football and 49 days from the fantasy football draft weekend, essentially, because that's when most people do their drafts. And I'm trying to set those up now. If anyone has any scheduling issues, let me know. I'm trying to figure out. And Steven, I'll give you a call afterwards because I'm trying to do another in live draft. Obviously, Bobby, it's hard for you because you're in Nashville, but I'm trying to do another one of those old school drafts. I'm trying to figure out who we could get in there. So, all right, guys. Well, great job. And we will see y'all next week. Y'all have a great time this weekend and the MLB All-Star game and all that kind of crap. And go Braves. Oh, does Sandy Alcantara get the nod in the All-Star game starter, or do you think they're going to slide Kershaw in there?
I don't know. Sandy has just been he's been too good.
He has.
If they're starting Kershaw, it's going to be I can't think of the word I'm wanting to say, but like a legacy nod.
Crap.
Yeah.
Well, they did that with putting Pujols in the home run derby, right? The whole legacy thing.
What in the hell is that? I get it. I get it. They put him in the All-Star game, him and Miggy. Okay, I don't have any problem with it. They sit at the end of the bench and wave to people, and you don't really want to use them unless it turns into a blowout. But he's in the freaking home run derby.
Hey, I don't know. Like even when the year Ichiro retired, like all of his teammates were saying, "Put Ichiro in. He will win straight up."
I get that, but you just look at their statistics. He doesn't belong.
Oh, statistics, yeah, but I mean,
they gave him a pass, by the way, because even though they have him ranked 8th and Schwarber ranked 1st, Pete Alonso is the 1 seed.
Oh, for sure.
So why isn't Alonso going up against the old man in the sea?
I don't know there, but I mean, we're talking about a home run derby here. Pujols is still big; he can still hit it a long way. It's not like he's trying to hit for average here.
There's no way that Acuna gets past Alonso.
This ain't a 40-yard dash here.
No, he's gonna hit like 4 and slam his bat down and do bat flips and stuff. But which I'm fine with, because I really don't want him. I don't want him going 4 rounds and tear his back up, because that's what would happen to him.
No, well, we need the event of the weekend: Pujols and Miguel Cabrera 40-yard dash. Who would win?
Cabrera and who? Pujols?
Yeah.
Pujols. Did you see Cabrera stole a third base the other day?
Yeah.
And then the ball went in the outfield? That seems rigged. All right, guys. We will see you next Saturday. Same bat time, same bat channel. We'll be here 9 a.m. to noon every Saturday throughout all the way till the end of football season. Great job, guys.
All right, thank you. Have a good one.
Goodbye, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on these CBS Sports affiliates and catching the show on YouTube Live. The Armchair Quarterbacks bring you Braves Country Baseball every Tuesday and Friday night, play-by-play with Mac McGee. Find Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live today. Please subscribe and share and take us everywhere you go. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for Southern sports talk, live from the First Coast.
Can I get another cigarette, please? Can I get another cigarette, please? Yeah, I know I lived